morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is. Close that off. Hello, it's me. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem, it's me. How you doing, everybody? You good? I'm eating. You're gonna have to deal with that. I'm eating some HelloFresh. Check this out. It's rice, and it's honey soy chicken, and it's carrot and coleslaw and charred sweet corn. Like an adult. I feel like I got hit by a car. Oh dear. Watching the live action Avatar. Is it good? No spoilers. I assume it's following the same story as the comic, but the cartoon. But in case it isn't, no spoilers. Isn't charred just fancy for oh crap it's burning? I mean it's on purpose charred? Yeah. Probably. Probably. I enjoyed it. It was way, way better than the thing that shan't be named. We shouldn't compare it to a thing that is on the ground. In terms of whether that's a high bar. What have you all been doing today, other than watching live action Atla? I just had one of my home games for D&D, the Blue Steel Troop. They did one of the most amazing cinematic, dope as fuck combo moves that I've probably ever seen in a game. So I'll tell you about that when I'm done with my food. Oh damn, decent 70's good. That's all I was expecting, really. I was hoping for above a 50. If that M. Night was rubbish 0 and the original was 100, it's like a 70. That's good. That's good expectations for me going into it. It's the weekend. We're supposed to do things? Yeah, do fun things. Have you been playing video games or reading books or going for a walk or painting or something? Was it Tals again? It was. It was Tals and her dope monk shit. But it was actually Dead Aussie Gamer's idea. And then the other two jumped in and was like, oh, and I can do this and I can help out here. I participated in a casino heist. What's the context there, Spates? In a game or just like in real life you heisted a casino? Because you should probably not implicate yourself in written form on the internet. But I'm not your mum. You can do whatever you want. Mother-in-law visited, so I've been cleaning to military standards and pretending we don't live in our house. Jesus. Been sleeping and maybe sleeping more. Well, that's good. Yeah, because for some of you, you would have just seen me last night for Twitch Tales, and then gone to sleep, and then woke up again and I'm still here. Hi. The Cabbages guy is played by the Cabbages guy. That's so good. Oh, that's cool. I like that. My cabbages. Going to get paint and stuff for the nursery today. Excited to get starting it. Nice. When do you need the nursery by? What sort of colour are you choosing for nursery? I've been chasing an overactive toddler all day. Pretty good exercise, I imagine. You'd have to be a patron of yours to know. I'm sure Spates is fine. Yeah, you can implicate yourself behind a paywall, right? Otherwise, it's if they come behind a paywall and they need a warrant to use your confession against you in court. Trust me, I'm a lawyer. That is legal advice. The hell's cops from New Zealand? Right, so knock. Snitches get stitches. Snit by a car gets hit by a car. Yeah, a game. Casino heisting in a game. Master of the infidel arts. Went for a walk yesterday, no plans today. No plans, no name. I'm due mid-May. Gonna be a kind of soft mint green. Nice. Trying to fix my YouTube so that I have a name. I do some sewing. Had 3 games last week. I'm exhausted. Need to do some notes. Notes are pretty exhausting. Like I finished my game and I was like, whew, man. And the body sort of relaxes. And then the hyperfocus comes to an end and you're like, man, I'm exhausted and I'm really hungry and I really need to use the bathroom and I could do with a break. I've been sitting at this computer for hours. And all of it happens at once and I'm like, okay, see you later everybody, same time next week or whatever. And then I go, ugh. And then I go, now I need to do the notes. Because if I don't, they're not in my mind and it'll get through to the next session and I'll be opening up my document and I'll be like, fuck. I'm behind on the time scale. I'm behind on the keeping a note of how much time has passed in game and what is the bad guy doing at the moment and keeping a track of this and that and the other and which spells have been used and stuff. It's a pain in the butt to then have to do notes immediately after the session. When does daylight savings end in New Zealand? March, maybe? Not sure. You'd have to Google it. Ran through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out on the range. Had cuddles with the new nephew. Oh, that's cute. Not a bad day at all. I'm very excited to meet my nephews in the UK later this year. And my niece. I've got 2 nephews and a niece. One of them I have technically met, but only when he was like a little baby. Basically a different person now. And the other 2 I haven't even met at all. And now they've got like personalities and shit. Now they're like people. And I gotta get them hooked on D&D. It's my duty. We changed daylight savings on the 7th of April. There you go. Went to Pink on Friday, so that was fun. Oh, Pink concert. I didn't realise that. Oh, no, wait. I was going to say I didn't realise that she was here yet, but you're not in New Zealand. Pink's coming to New Zealand weekend after next. 2 weeks today. No, 2 weeks yesterday. 2 weeks yesterday. And I know that because I was going to be going, but it's my friend's wedding that day. And so we're not going to Pink. But I bet it was amazing. Was it a good concert, Jenny? I imagine she's one of the performers who'd be amazing in a live situation. A lot of yesterday playing Baldur's Gate 3. Going to the Imperial War Museum in Manchester with friends. Sometimes I think having a brain YEC interface, brain tech interface, would be really cool, like just thinking of what you want to put in the document and then your brain short circuits and you're a potato for the rest of your life. Yeah, I would not. Like, you know how my tech goblins, my tech gremlins come into play. I would not want a brain tech interface. The amount of times it would mess up. You've had the no more fucks to give song in your head. How do these always get turned around? Oh man. Low battery headphones.
Tried, and I tried even more. I cried, and I can't recall what for. I pressed, I pushed, I yelled, and then hoped of some success. But the inevitable fact is that it never will impress. I've no more fucks to give, my fucks have run dry. I tried to go fuck shopping, but there's no fucks left to buy. I've no more fucks to give, no more fucks I've tried to get. I'm over my fuck budget and I'm now in fucking debt. I strive to get everything done. I play by all the rules, but I very rarely won. I've smiled, I've charmed, I would have laughed, alas to no avail. I've run round like a moron to unequivocally fail. I've no more fucks to give, my fuck fuse has just blown. I've been hunting for my fucks all day, but they've upped and fucked off home. I've no more fucks to give, my fuck rations are depleted. I've rallied my fuck army, but it's been fucking defeated. The effort has just not been worth the time or the expense. I've exhausted all my energy for minimal recompense. The complete lack of acknowledgement has now begun to go, and I've come to realize that I don't give a fuck. I've no more fucks to give, my fucks are blown away. My fucks are now so fucked off they refuse to fucking stay. I've no more fucks to give, my fucks have gone insane. They've come back round and passed me while they're fucking off again. I've no more fucks to give, my fucks have all dissolved. I plan many projects but my fucks won't be involved. I've no more fucks to give, my fucks have all been spent. They fucked off from the building and I don't know where they went. I've no more fucks to give, I've no more fucks to give. I've no more fucks, I've no more fucks, I've no more fucks to give. Thank you very much.
Why is he in a suit? Why is he in a suit shop? Why is there a concert in a suit shop? Or a a recital in a suit shop or a talent show in a suit shop. Who knows? I don't know. I don't have any context. It's just very funny. It was performed at Boyd's. Boyd's of Bedford. That was it. It doesn't say why. It's his whole deal. It's very funny. There you go. For those who didn't have the context from this morning. Wraith, I think that it'd only work if you had the voice in your head. I don't think in impressions and would have to put more work in, but at least spell check wouldn't be needed. Yeah. Yeah, the head to text tech would be very different depending on every different person, because I know some people who think in words, like they see words in their mind as they're thinking or as they're speaking. And then people more like myself who just think in like full concepts. I just think of the whole thing and then I kind of try and put it into words as it exits my mouth. And then there are others who just think in like pictures. Which is why if I was to try and write a feature film script, anything like What Women Want or any of those sorts of films, I'd have a real hard time getting way too pedantic about the breakdown of the script and how the power works, because reading people's minds, you most of the time wouldn't get comprehensive sentences. People don't walk around thinking, oh, that guy smells, oh, I wish he'd walk away, oh, I really wish, I'm really nervous about today's promotion. People don't think in sentences most often. Or maybe they do and I'm the exception. Any detailed plans for the private sanctums in the UK yet? I'll go over that. Yeah, I don't have super details yet. Nothing's locked in, but I've got some pretty good dates that I can give you some more ballpark figures essentially of when I'll be where. We'll get to that in a minute. Apparently she stopped halfway through a song because someone went into labour, so that's epic. Oh, dope. I was at the local Irish pub on Friday evening with my partner. It was fun with one guy playing and singing songs. Definitely did not look the songs I was most familiar with to figure out how old they are. I only saw part of it because my sister was super crook and had to play nurse. Oh man, that sucks. With a well-maintained beard and stash. He did have a very good beard game. He has no more fucks to give, so why not? Why not perform in a suit shop? That's not the version that you were first acquainted with. I still let the song from Robin Hood the other day, and this one's not made a dent. I'm a whole thing thinker mixed with pictures thinker. Ballpark would be nice for at least blocking on work calendars. Yeah, let's bring up a ballpark then, shall we? I've no more fucks to give. My fucks have runneth dry. I've no more fucks to give. My husband came in and said, hey, those boiled eggs you cooked, how do I make them not boiled eggs and make them mayonnaise eggs instead? Lol, such a chef. You put them in a bowl and you add mayonnaise and you mash them. And that's how it goes. Add salad cream as well if you've got salad cream. Alrighty. We are gonna go through the very rough details of my travel between July and October. So listen up and do not take any of this as gospel. All of this is subject to change, but hopefully we can start locking some of it in. I fly to Gen Con on the 30th of July. I get settled in Gen Con and do Gen Con stuff from the 31st through to the 4th. I'm hoping to try and find a date in there somewhere to do a Gen Con tabletop in person, what am I calling them? Private Sanctum. Hoping to do a private sanctum while I'm in Gen Con, because that's the biggest majority of nerds all in one place. Then I go to Chicago. Maybe I'll do a game in Chicago, but if I'm doing one in Gen Con, then maybe not, because it's only a 2-hour drive away, so there's not going to be many people who can make it to Chicago that can't make it to Gen Con, especially on like a Tuesday. So probably not that. Then go to Toronto, hang with some friends. I know quite a few people in Toronto, so do some games in Toronto. Almost certainly do some private sanctum games in Toronto. Then fly to New York. We're talking like around the 10th of August at this point. Fly to New York, do some games in New York. Also just do some touristy things in New York, because I like New York. New York City, of course, I'm talking about. Then go through Philadelphia, probably, hopefully meet up with Lord Gazumba, and head to Washington. Do some touristy stuff in Washington. I'm not sure if it's worth me doing any like in-person private sanctum games in Washington DC, but yeah, I'm talking about DC, of course. But maybe I'll put the feelers out, see if anybody's around Washington DC or Maryland, and would come to a game. Then go to Florida and sort of settle in. Maybe go to Disneyland, although it is August. It's August 16th-ish by this point, so it's like right in the end of the school summer holidays, and so maybe that wouldn't be a good time to go. Maybe it'd be super expensive. I don't know. It'd just be nice to go, because I've never been to Florida. I've never been to Disneyland. It would be nice to do it as a tourist. Do some games down in Florida. Hang out with maybe Caustic Phoenix and Mudcat if possible, because they're Florida-based. Then fly west from there to Dallas, Texas, where Duke lives, and maybe do some games in Dallas, because I know I've got a few people in Texas that are fans. So a game or two there. Then head to Los Angeles. We're talking around the 21st of August at this point. Stay in Los Angeles for about a week or so. Florida's Disney World, is it? Sorry. Disneyland is LA? I always forget which is which. There's Euro Disney in Europe, Disney World in Florida, Disneyland in LA. Then there's one in Japan, isn't there? That's called Tokyo Disney or something. Disneyland's Anaheim. Okay, Disneyland. Have I been to Disneyland then? I went to one in Anaheim. No, I went to Six Flags in Anaheim. Whichever one's Florida, obviously. Then be in LA for the rest of August, essentially. Got so many people that we know in Los Angeles, so doing something like that. Then fly to the UK around about the 30th of August. I've got a family reunion situation happening with people I have seen for years on the 31st, so sort of catching up with that, catching up for all my family stuff on that weekend. Just spend some time with my family for the first few days. Get to meet my nephews. They're going back to school about that time, so I want to just get as much time as possible. We don't say Euro Disney since a long time now. It's Disneyland Paris. There you go then. Disneyland Paris. There's one in Hong Kong too as well. Hong Kong. I didn't know there was a Disneyland in Hong Kong. Time with fam, around the 2nd, 3rd, 4th-ish of September. I'm looking at maybe doing a game in York, a private sanctum game in York on the 4th perhaps. Then driving down to Reading and doing a private sanctum game on the 5th of September. Again, I'll specify this is not locked in yet. This is not the actual date yet, but it is likely to not change that much. Maybe a day or two either side. Maybe a week if I sort of replace one week with another week. It might switch something like that, but still subject to change, but it gives you a ballpark. Drive to Reading and game on the 5th of September. Another Reading game in the morning of the 6th of September, perhaps, and drive back up to Yorkshire, where my family live, in time for my brother to get married. Then drive up to Glasgow. Not sure if I would do any games up in Glasgow, but maybe. I'm not sure if I've done Reading games and a York game, maybe the people from, like, if I've got fans in Scotland, maybe they'd just be coming to my York game, but maybe there'd be enough people to also warrant doing one in Glasgow. Not sure. The more I do, the more money I can actually supplement towards my very expensive 3-month travelling. So I might look into it. Maybe Glasgow. Drive around to Campbelltown, to my good friend who owns a picture house out in Campbelltown. spend some more time with my family, do some chilling, and then fly to Berlin. We're talking somewhere in the vicinity of the 16th of September, fly to Berlin. Definitely be doing a game in Berlin, maybe around the 17th, and fly and spend some time elsewhere in Germany. Then train to Frankfurt, do a Frankfurt game around the 20th of September. Maybe another Frankfurt game as well, because I've got a lot of German fans and people who would come out from like Austria and other places, Poland and stuff that's nearby, that would be like, well, I'll fly to Germany for it. So probably a few, maybe 2 games in Berlin, maybe 3 games in Frankfurt, something like that. It's yet to be decided. And then around about the 22nd of September, I fly home. Maybe home, maybe to Perth. Then 2 weeks later, I fly to PAX Australia in Melbourne around the 9th of October. I do a game, Private Sanctum game at PAX Australia in Melbourne, and then we do PAX stuff. And then I fly home, maybe arriving back in New Zealand for the first time in a few months, around about the middle of October, 14th of October or so. I get over jet lag, and then on the 22nd I do another game, the potentially penultimate game of the Viva campaign. Yet to be decided. York is easily get-toable on public transport from here. Nice. Where is here? Saved up for PAX again. Everything here is Korea or UK savings. Nice. Off topic, booking a Disney cruise for the end of year, as Disney cruises just became a thing in Oz. That's awesome. That's fun. What is a Disney cruise? Like, is it just like a bunch of, like, you're welcomed aboard by Mickey Mouse and all of that? Get to see Wraith, who will then definitely be mayor? Don't think so. Currently the Berlin day would fit rather meh in the middle between 2 vacations on a weekday. Not sure I'll get some time off then. Ah man, that sucks. Let's go. I don't imagine that changing too much, unfortunately, either. It's going to be a few days either side of that, most likely, but yeah, it'll be... Game in Berlin will probably be somewhere around the 17th of September. I don't think I could cope with that much travelling and meeting people. My brain would melt. It's definitely going to be an interesting year, that's for sure. Here is Stockport in South Manchester. Ah, I see. Yeah, you can get to York from there easy. So does that sound fun? Once I do lock in places and dates and locations for which I can actually hire it out, I'm obviously looking for places where I can not have a bunch of noise and where we can be undisturbed for like 3 or 4 hours. Somewhere that's cheap enough for me to rent or hire or borrow. And obviously, because any price to hire a venue has to be price that I add into the ticket hire, the ticket price to join the game. And then when I do choose settle on dates and make sure that everything's booked and stuff, then as patrons you'll be the first to know about them. You'll get first access to the tickets. You just need to give me an enthusiastic yes, lock me in, and then I'll tell you the dates and stuff and send you the link to a Discord group. You join a little private Discord server that I've got set up where you can talk to your fellow players and get excited about your game and your characters and things. I'll have to wait and see. Maybe I'll have too many hours, then I'll have to take a day off, half a day off or such. Yeah. My big holidays currently consist of meeting animals and animal people. Lock me in for PAX. Unfortunately, I will not be locking anyone in ahead of actually announcing the dates. Once I announce the dates on Patreon, that's when you can lock in tickets. I've no more fucks to give. The PAX one is potentially about after PAX. Yeah. The PAX one is potentially like the Monday the 14th, the day after the PAX stuff, perhaps. Still in the works, deciding on things. But there will definitely be one in Melbourne, maybe even 2. Bum 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 bum. I Just woke up for a bit. Was there going to be another private vacuuming Chicago? What? Private vacuuming Chicago? You should put an RHGM sticker on the bottom of the bottle, flashing at people. Let me see what that would look like. Because I just so happen to have some badges and stickers. Because when you are joining the private sanctums, you get some goodie bags with some cool stuff in it, like a set of cool dice and an RHGM sticker, and some and badges. That's pretty good idea actually. Chuck a sticker on there. If I can find one that's the right perfect size for it. I'm going nowhere this year, but I do get to have a nice shiny roof. The joys of house ownership. Yeah. Yep, I get that space. I'm looking at how much this year is going to cost me in travel and everything, and I'm like, fuck, this is going to be expensive. And then I look at the stuff around my house, and I'm like, I really need to redo my shower door with like the plastic, whatever it is, the waterproofing, and really probably need an electrician to come in and fix my the light of my cooker hob, because the light's broken on it, and I'll just live with it. I'm the only one who lives here. I'm interested but a little nervous in the first ever D&D game I would play and don't want to spoil it for other people. Don't think like that, Retiva. Assuming ticket prices are manageable, I'm definitely interested. I know from VLDL D&D that you're good with beginners. Thank you. Yes. If there's 2 for packs, I'm definitely going to grab a ticket then. He said I'm mildly considering another Sanctum in Chicago, but only because it's 2 hours from Gen Con. Yeah, so I'm going to try and get one in for Gen Con just because all of the nerds are already at Gen Con, so I'm definitely likely to fill a table. Given that I would be going to Chicago immediately after Gen Con, and it's only a 2-hour drive, I feel like maybe I've exhausted my pool of people who'd be interested. So I might not do a Chicago and a Gen Con, unless I put the Gen Con table out, publicize it, and it all just sells out immediately, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I can do a Chicago one as well, maybe. Metal coin, please. That's what I would like. Had my private game. You didn't have a private game though, Alyssa. You had a play with me game, which is not a private Sanctum game. You want to show them the other stuff we have been working on? Yes. What have we been working on? This is within reach. This is merchandise that you can also buy if you're a private Sanctum. If you're a private Sanctum guest, you have access to a private merch store that you can buy private Sanctum merch too. How many privates can I get into a sentence? What else are what have we been working on, Fancy? It's tired in this room. It's tired and hot, and you'll have to remind me. The outside is coming inside via a hole in the roof, so apparently it must be fixed. Psh, D&D is way more fun. Any fun things planned for Chicago specifically? Not really. I don't really know what there is to do in Chicago. I know there's a free zoo that I went to the last time I was there. The 2 things I remember about Chicago. The 3 things I think about when... 4. There's 2 things I remember from being in Chicago, and there's 2 other things that I just think of as like word association with Chicago. The word association is pizza and gangsters. And the 2 other things that I think of with Chicago when I was there was the free zoo and too many road tolls. On our drive into Chicago, we hit toll booth after toll booth, and we were like, what the fuck, this is extortionate. And then we realized, oh, that's because you're on the toll road, and there's just tolls every 10 meters on this road. You just need to get off of that road. Maybe you get people to sign up and say you'll only run it if you get enough people. That's usually how I'm going to do things with TV, yeah. I spent time. Time is money. You didn't spend any time. You earned it through passively being here. just as you would have if I didn't offer the private game, the Play With Me game. I live 2 hours from Chicago. Would take more vacation for that. Okay, good to know. What about previous Private Sanctum players? Will we get a chance of buying? Yes, yeah. The merchandise, the Patreon, the Private Sanctum merchandise will be made posthumously, isn't the right word? After the fact, post hoc, for the previous Private Sanctum players as well. Merchandise, yes, merch that's going to be exclusive only for Patreons. Can we show anything though? I don't think we've got anything to show other than the Private Sanctum stuff, right? There's a fourth wall store that we are working on. That merch is coming soon. We're doing samples. My other stuff should be arriving. Why did that not arrive? Should look into why the beanie and the other thing didn't arrive yet. Hi there, don't know why I'm up at 4 AM on a Sunday, but upside it's good to see you. How goes the day in New Zealand? Hi, Classic Sam, good to see you. How goes the day in New Zealand? Pretty good. It's been a good day. I've had a good game of Twitch Tales this morning. Raided you after that, and then a game of private game with Blue Steel Troop. Just after that. It's my dog's birthday today. He's 2 years old. Somewhat arbitrary date. We don't know exactly the day he was born, but we attributed it to around about this time because this is also the 2nd anniversary of me moving into this house. We signed the mortgage and everything and moved into the house exactly 2 years ago today. And we got the dog around. We met the dog around 8 weeks from now, but 2 years ago, and they estimated that he was about 8 weeks old based on when they rescued him and everything. So we were like, his birthday is somewhere around here. We might as well just put it as the same time that we moved into the house, because then it's all on one day. So yes, it's been a pretty good day. It's very hot though. We're changing merch store, and that means we can do exclusive merch. Yes, we're changing to Fourth Wall, which is better products, easier sort of UI for people. It can be a bit more flashy. You can integrate it into your website a little bit easier than the other merch stores that we were using before now, and it allows us to use like separate merch stores within the merch store for like for Patreon only merch, and for Private Sanctum only merch and stuff like that. Pay a toll to go to the free zoo and have pizza with the gangsters. Yeah, Chicago, baby! You missed Rob listing his travel, and he might be doing games in New York. Yes, if you'd be interested at all, Sam, I would most likely be in New York City around about, give or take a few days either side, but I'll probably be in New York City around about the 10th and 11th of August this year, and while I'm there I'll probably be doing some in-person Private Sanctum game. If you want to buy a ticket and join my table, you'll just keep an eye out for when the tickets go live. Probably take back roads to get there to avoid a lot of tolls. Yeah. Will you do New Zealand games at some stage? Yeah, a couple of people have asked me that, and I was like, it didn't really occur to me, to be honest, because it's not travel for me, and also because I didn't really feel like I had much of a New Zealand audience. But I feel like I could fill a table of 4 to 6 players. So yes, I'll probably look into doing a New Zealand game or two. It'd be a good excuse to do some staycations as well, like travel around New Zealand a bit. Spates and Wraith had a game, that'd be pretty fun. Maybe down in Wellington or something. Spates, Wraith, and Connor could jump in. Who else is in New Zealand? I'm sure there's somebody I'm forgetting. Where are you based, Spates? I forgot. You're down south. You're down south somewhere, aren't you? You like Christchurch or something? Check out Headquarters Chicago if you like arcade games. There's always a fun arcade bar. Good to know. Won't be here long, just saying hi. No worries, Adam. Bum bum bum. Be nice if my mutual's TTRPG cafe is open and discount the poop out of that. Nice, good to know. Happy birthday, Javi. I will pass on your regards. I gave him chicken today. I gave him chicken and a bit of cheese. And I was going to give him some lamb lung as well, but I didn't run out of time, so maybe I'll give him that later. It was muggy here and my dumbass went out grocery shopping. My dog's birthday today too, but Mischief is 10 years old. Nice. I made you a list in Slack of stuff we can share. Yes, you did actually. Yes, you did. I remember seeing that. I've no more fucks to give. My fucks have runneth dry. I've no more fucks. You give him homework, Fancy? Yeah. The asshole of the island. Snicker. Way down south. North Antarctica, some would say. Are you Invercargill? Are you genuinely Invercargill? Why are you in Invercargill? You're like the only thing in Invercargill. I've got friends from Invercargill, and I asked them once while I was in Invercargill for a touring thing. I was with a touring theatre, children's theatre thing, and I was in Invercargill, and I arrived, and I was going to say I tweeted, but it was like Facebook at the time. I was like, "Hey, Facebook friends from Invercargill, what's there to do in Invercargill?" And like every single one of them was like, "Leave. Leaving is the best and only thing to do in Invercargill." Invercargill also fucked up my understanding of Scottish geography, because I often say Invercargill when I mean Inverness, which could not be at different ends of the world. At more different ends. We had a horse, but he upped and left too. Also left Invercargill. Is there a list of things to read and when? Because 4E. Oh yeah. Let's read some 4E right now. I've got it, and I should read it. Let's do that. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, Monster Manual, Player's Handbook, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, Player's Handbook, Advanced D&D, Dungeon Master's Guide. I should read that. I'll give myself tell you what I'll do, Sam, since you're here. I'm going to give myself a deadline to read it by, because I have to send it back to you if I don't freaking finish if I don't even start reading it by a certain day. I'm just going to forget that I'm even meant to be. I can't read it before I leave for the March trip, because this is insane. I've got like 2 weeks, and I've got Vive la Diddly in that time, and I've got my friend's wedding, and I'm part of the bridal party, so I'm doing a lot of like rehearsal weddings and the hen's night and stuff. Plus I've got a private game with the Seekers in that time as well. So I got a lot of stuff on. I can't read it before I go, and I'm certainly not taking it on holiday with me. So I will put it in to start reading it. I'm going to put it in on, let's see, fly back to Auckland that day. I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to write Robert reads 4E. Because I've genuinely been wanting to read it for a long time, because of how many people talk about how good the monster stat blocks were, and how shit I find the 5e monster stat blocks to be, and how I'm always looking for inspiration for better stats. And then I'm like, I've got the inspiration that I need. It's right there. Somebody was kind enough to send it to me on a indefinite loan that I haven't even fucking read it yet. So I've got it, and it's there. Hey Rob, did you pass Tal's the Alana books you read because you're too busy? What, these ones down here? These ones that are also just sitting on my floor underneath the bookshelves of things to read that I'll definitely get around to reading someday. You do not have to send it back. I have 3 copies of that book. Just teasing. Yeah, but you have 1 copy less because you sent it to me and I didn't send you it back because I'm an asshole, and I'm sorry. The monster stat blocks are way better, especially the giant stat blocks. I'll read it. I've got it in my calendar now. That is a project when I get back from my travels in end of March. I'm going to be busy preparing for my birthday April shenanigans, but I also will add in an extra project in April to read the 4E monster manual or player's handbook or whatever it is, because then I'll have actually taken the opportunity to read it. Be good if I actually did have the time to read it before GaryCon, because that's all about grognards, and I might be able to get into some conversations about earlier editions if I have something more to talk about, and not just be like, I only know 5th edition. If I'd have thought about that sooner, I could have made that one of my February projects. I could have made a February project to read some of the earlier editions in preparation for going to meet a bunch of grognards. Bum 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 ba-dim, bum be dum bum bum bum, be la boo ba dee beep billy boo boo doo ba dee. Do we have shenanigans, planigans for your birthday yet this year? I don't know if you guys do, but I do. It's half an age to fly from New Zealand to US. Read it on the plane. I could, but then I'm taking a book that don't belong to me on a plane, and then you're just asking for it to get lost or get destroyed or get damaged or something. I don't want to risk that. So the deal is, when I go visit my friends in Dunedin, I'll grab it from you. Mate. Sold. Okay, let's go. What is Jen suggesting we could talk about? Stuff we can mention. We could talk about the vague dates for private sanctums. Tick. There you go. Who would be interested in those things? Is it good? Are those good dates? Do those work for people? Less of a chance if you check into your international flight more than 45 minutes before. Mate, then I have to be at the airport more than 45 minutes before my international flight though. What's the point of that? Boring. Talk about my random Utah trip. Yeah, that's a good idea. We should talk about my random Utah trip. Have I mentioned that at all on stream or anything yet? Is that a completely brand new information to you guys that I'm coming to Utah? What do? You read. Yeah. Oddly enough, around the end of August. Oh, really? You're coming to New Zealand around the end of August when I'm not going to be in New Zealand? So excited for Rob's flight adventures this year, hoping to see if my my travel curse kicks in or not. We'll see, cause life gets in the way. Off topic, an idea for YouTube Shorts is to explain the origin/region behind each of your homebrew rules. At least I would find that interesting. Yeah, that's probably a good idea actually, Karen. Let me add that to my ideas for YouTube. And then I maybe get around to it. Ideas for YouTube series. I've got a whole bunch of YouTube series ideas. I've no more fucks to give. Let's just go. Let's go. I'll call it My Homebrew. My House Rules. That's what I'll call it. My House Rules. Why I rule things. How I do. Falling damage. That could be a video on how I calculate falling damage. Potions and movement. Extra 5 foot athletics check, etc. Do super glue his wallet to him because I have concerns. I've only lost my wallet a couple of times while traveling. I didn't lose it at all in the last travel or two. GaryCon, yes, and if you have one in Chicago, I'll be there. Sorry, cause me. What? Oh, get him to check in with enough time to not rush and lose it. Nah, because then you have to be there early and you got to kill time. Boring. August, because close to Labor Day, because I never ever stick around New York City for Labor Day weekend, because all the leaf seekers. Another reason. Wait, what? All the leaf seekers? What are leaf seekers? Leaf peepers. What the fuck are leaf peepers? What are you even talking about? What are you talking about? I guess I haven't talked about Utah yet, right? So here's something exciting. Somebody got in touch with me directly and said, hey, we want to fly you out. We want to pay to fly you out to Utah and put you up in accommodation just so you can attend a convention that we're running. How cool is that? It was an independent guy, and the convention is in his basement, and I'm totally feeling safe about the whole thing. It was wow, that's so cool. It was not in his basement. It is my friend Derek from How Not to GM. He got in touch and said, "Hey, my friend who runs a gaming store has last year broken the Guinness World Record of the largest D&D game ever. Anybody want to hazard a guess without looking it up how many players they had in a single game of Dungeons and Dragons?" And they broke the record with it last year, around May. Enter your guesses. The long story short is he said he's trying it again. He's going to break the record again this year. He's going to double the record from last year. And would you like to be involved in it? Would you like to be one of the dungeon masters for this epic, huge game? Spates says 134. It's north of that. Winter Ghost says 150. It's north of that. Wraith says over 2,000. It's south of that. Timorous Beastie says 200. More than that. Ian Benson 420. More than that. Centauri 785. Nice. More than that. It was 1,227 people. They got 1,227 people playing the same game of Dungeons & Dragons. And it sounds epic how they did it, and I was very impressed. And it was the first time that this organizer had done anything like it, which is amazing. Basically, you had a whole bunch of different tables of different DMs. They were all running the same scenario, but not the same module. Like it's not the same game if everybody's playing this. Like you start in a tavern, and a goblin runs in and says, "Help me! My daughter's been kidnapped by a wolf." Like if you start the same module each time, then you're playing the same game, but not the same game. Does that make sense? Obviously, it doesn't. Instead, what they were doing was, it sounds like everybody was playing as like individual, unique people within a battalion. Like a city was being besieged and everybody was in that city, and I might be getting this wrong because I'm not sure. I'm just going on what Derek told me, but like it sounds like every table, so this table over here, these like 5 tables over here were all playing the sentries on the walls of the city, and these tables over here were all like the people on the outskirts between the walls and the enemy, and they were all doing their thing, and these people were all inside the city walls doing whatever they're doing, and everybody had their like little games to be running, and it was sectioned off kind of like a choose your own ending of like you play for 1 hour, and then towards the end of that hour, the dungeon masters at each of the tables are constantly filling in their like their forms to say like, has the wall fallen yet? And then at the end of the hour, somebody sitting somewhere completely else is getting all of these forms in real time in these Excel spreadsheets or whatever, and making the analysis of being like, well, this section of the wall has fallen, and that section of the wall has fallen, and that section has fallen, therefore, and then sends out to all of the dungeon masters, move on to section G. And then section G, and then it's like, okay, if this happened, then we move on to section G, and then for the next hour of the game, they play section G, which is like, oh, the enemy have breached the wall, so now everybody's doing this instead, and blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of that hour, it's updated to say like, okay, we're moving into section 7B, and then they move on to that, and then, you know, after 3-4 hours, the game comes to a conclusion, and that was the game. And everybody, like 1,227 people were all playing the same game in Dungeons & Dragons, and it sounds amazing. And a lot of logistics, and I can't even imagine what it would take to run something like that. But it was run in a mall after hours in Provo, Utah. And now he's going to try and break the record again and double it. He's aiming for 2,500 people, maybe even 3,000 people. And it's going to be the same game but over 2 days, so that we can get the same the same scenario continues the next day. Whatever happens at the end of day 1 continues into day 2. And he's asking me if I want to be involved, and not only that, but he's willing to fly me out for it. And I was like, are you sure? New Zealand is expensive. And they're like, yeah, we know, but we've got a little bit of budget, and we're going to try and fly you out for it. And I was like, that's amazing. I'm absolutely 100% in. And he goes, on top of that, like the game runs from like 4 till 8 p.m. each night, and from 9 till 4 during the day, it's basically like a little convention. Like we're hiring out the whole mall again, and the entire thing's just going to be a convention. You've got like a 10 by 10 foot floor space for selling merch or like meet and greets or things like that. And then after that happens, about 4 o'clock, you go start your table or whatever. And I might be one of the dungeon masters, or I might be like one of the floating dungeon masters that kind of goes between tables to try and make sure things are still cohesive and things are moving at the same speed. If this table over here is doing things real fast, I go along as like a floating dungeon master and throw some extra monsters at them and be like, fucking slow down, here's some monsters to fight. And then meanwhile, if these people are over here losing a little bit, then it's like, oh, you find a legendary sword to pick up, then hurry up and kill these monsters. Or like, here's an inspiration, things like that. So it's not locked in. It might all fall through. They might decide like, holy shit, New Zealand really is expensive. We can't afford to fly you out. So it might not happen. But if it does, that's very exciting, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. So that's pretty exciting. If you're around Utah, and I've said as well, like, oh, I mean, if I'm traveling, if I'm there, might as well do a private sanctum. So I might be doing a private sanctum somewhere around Provo or maybe Salt Lake City or something. Around early May. So I don't know if that suits any of you for time zones or location wise. If you can get to Utah in early May, but there might be another private sanctum around then. Yeesh. Hope nobody had to take notes after the game for that many people. Yeah. They're all playing in the same bit of the world at the same time. I think so. Yeah. From what it sounded like. I'm excited by the organizational magnificence that this would have required, right? Same. Sounds fantastic, but a real mindfuck at the same time, yeah. I can't imagine trying to organize that sort of thing and then try and actually run it as it's all happening. Totes need a stall holder, right? I do, Wraith. Are you going to get yourself there? Could use a belongings minder. You could be Rob's official travel buddy. Yeah, so that's fun. Where are we at with the merch stuff, Fancy? Are we like actually sending people to it yet? I can't remember. We haven't opened it yet, have we? We were waiting for samples, but I think your samples have arrived, and one of my samples has arrived. I don't know if we're actually opening the merch store yet. We haven't. I don't know if we're doing like a soft merch. I feel like we should do like an official announcement. Grand opening to the merch store. Imagine having that in your world of Rin and having all of that be canon afterwards. Oh man, can you even? Can you narrow? I didn't answer that question. Fair enough. That's a question that we should hold off on then. I don't know. I feel like I want to wait until I've got my other merch other merch samples that I ordered. I wanted to make it live on the quiet and share it with patrons and private sanctums. Okay. And then just let people slowly discover that it's there. Why wouldn't we want to advertise it and say, hey, buy merch? Gonna have to boost. Time to do the kids' sports for the day. Have a great day. No worries, Timorous Beastie. Thanks for being here. I have 5 aces in the mail. Don't read that out loud. Maybe put the don't read that out loud before the fucking thing that you know that I'm reading all comments out loud, Wraith. It's a good thing you misspelled it. We wanted to fix the hoodie. Yes, we did want to fix the hoodie. Where is the merch sent from? I'm thinking cost and shipping time will be high if it's sent from New Zealand. That's the fun thing, Karen. That's the fun thing about Fourth Wall. I can choose when I'm making merch on the store, I can choose only the stuff that ships from certain different places. So I have chosen to only add to my merch store items, hoodies and things that ship from Australia, America, Canada, and the EU. So whenever you're buying anything on my merch store, hopefully you will be able to get it shipped from whichever of those is closest to you. Let people have a preview and launch it properly on your birthday. Yes, okay, that's what we'll do. Should I preview it now then? Where is it? I feel like I don't have a link to it. Do I just search Fourth Wall? Fourth Wall / Robert Hartley GM or something. Is that gonna find it for me? We have labeled stuff where it comes from. Yes, there you go. We have US friendly, EU friendly, AU friendly. Thank you a lot for the fixed shipping. Yeah. If only the UK was still EU. I mean, it wouldn't change where it ships from, would it? It's not like when the UK voted to leave the EU. It was like attached to a massive tugboat and tugged out into the Atlantic Ocean. It's not going to change how far it has to travel. No, but it makes import fees more complicated. Yeah, I get that. I can't log into Fourth Wall. What's happening? Am I trying the wrong one? Maybe I'm trying the wrong one. I wasn't paying attention. Yes, I was trying my wrong Gmail account. That's why. You're ready to launch. Go live now. No. Products. That's really handy because huge shipping costs is always the problem, not usually to Australia. Yes, this thing wasn't cheap. It wasn't expensive to ship to me. I shipped it from Australia, and it arrived very quickly, and was not that expensive. It wasn't exactly like fucking free, but it was not that expensive to ship to New Zealand. Tug it out to New Zealand, bring the UK to NZ, much better, right? At least pull it in line with New Zealand's time zone. I reckon just get a huge tugboat and pull it through Canada. All of those little squiggly bits at the top of Canada. Get some icebreakers and just smash up the Arctic, and tug the UK through the wiggly little bits around Canada, and then just pull it out onto the Pacific around about where the Pacific Land Bridge is, and then bam, we're in the right time zone. I got some samples and the hoodie was printing in the UK, but one of the stickers came from Latvia. I've no more fucks. Alright. What am I doing? Can I preview my... How do I preview the shop? Site design. Is this doing anything for me? Oh, and it's showing off my Instagram and my videos as well. Why is it not doing this? I don't understand. I'm not going to show anything off. I don't think this is exciting for people to see because I don't even know how to work the merch store yet. It's only I'm only seeing my stickers and nothing else. So I'm obviously doing something wrong. Why am I only seeing stickers? Fuck off. God damn it. Oceania friendly. Is it that one? Do I do that? Click on collections. New Zealand is in the best place, so far from everyone, but also New Zealand is so far from everywhere, sigh. think it's halfway between New Zealand and Oz. Seems like a nice spot. These are the hoodies you're looking for. I haven't seen the one sticker because that one is the only one that we actually have live. Ah, okay. Stickers, like stickers do. All right, well, look at this, shall we? I'm gonna have a bunch of collections, it seems, that you might be able to look at. I don't know what it looks like from your end of things, but this is what it looks like from the back end. So I can go Oceania friendly. So if you're Australia, you can be like, oh, Twitch stickers, hoodie, or a beanie, yay. And if you're US friendly, it's like, ooh, stickers, a beanie, a t-shirt, a tumbler, a logo, an embroidery patch with my logo on it. And there'll be more stuff. European Union friendly. Ooh, look at all this cool stuff that I can buy with Robert Hartley's logo on it. If you're Private Sanctum, it's hidden. Ooh, you only get to see it if you're part of the Private Sanctum. Ooh, exciting. There you go. That's my merchandise. Yay. There's going to be more merchandise added to it, and there's more coming for my birthday as well, like special limited edition birthday merchandise. Birchen birthday ice, as there is every year. Will they ship to other places outside of those zones if you're willing to pay the shipping? Yes, they will. That's just where they're being printed, yes. Yeah, you can buy any of the US friendly stuff and send it to New Zealand, but you'll have to pay more shipping for it. Sounded a lot like Lord Sir Conroy. Who sounded a lot like Lord Sir Conroy? I didn't do a Lord Sir Conroy voice. The page has been bookmarked, ready for launch. Nice. Nice. We need to do a giveaway. How are we running this giveaway? There's GaryCon. You all know GaryCon. You all know I'm going to GaryCon. Is anybody here going to GaryCon, by the way? Who am I gonna? No Frogman voice. Who's going to GaryCon? Who am I gonna see at GaryCon? Any of you? It's not the greatest time for people in that area of the world, so I wouldn't imagine most of you are actually, if you are in the area, you're probably not here. I want to explain the giveaway. I will explain the giveaway. I want to just ask about GaryCon first. JMT is going to GaryCon. I'll see you there. Awesome. So I'm going to the convention GaryCon that is all about celebrating Gary Gygax and Dungeons & Dragons and all that, especially this year because it's 50th anniversary of Dungeons & Dragons, which is pretty exciting. And while I'm there, I'm running 3 games at GaryCon as part of the whole convention. I'm running a game on Friday morning at 10 a.m. I'm running a game on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and I'm running a game on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. And if I can, where the hell is my? How do I find it? GaryCon. If I just go to GaryCon and then maybe like click on something, I'll probably be able to find my way into the back room somehow. How do I like log in? Event something. Is there like how do I find that event situation? I think it was in a email to me, so I could probably find it through that. I need a different song in my head. Is this one? This one will work, I think. Tabletop events, that's what it's called. Tabletop events. Alright, now let's look at my events. How do I find if my table has been sold out or not. Maybe if I just search for my own name, maybe. Oh, they're all sold out. Great. So table 1, table 2, table 3 are all showing 0 out of 5 available, which is exciting. However, if you are not going to GaryCon, if you are not in Lake Geneva at the end of March, you might still want to register to be a part of some of the virtual games that are going underway in GaryCon. There are virtual games as part of the whole GaryCon thing there is every year. They call it GaryCon Ethereal, I think, because you're in the ethereal plane. You're not actually there in person. It's kind of cool. So if you want to still be involved with GaryCon, and you want to be a part of any games that are happening around GaryCon, but do so virtually from the comfort of your own home, then you need to buy a virtual GaryCon ticket. Those are cheaper than in-person tickets, but you still need to buy a ticket. However, I have been able to acquire some of the tickets free to give away to you fine folk. You friends, fans, and fine folk. So, if anybody would like an ethereal GaryCon ticket, I can give you that. I just need to, if there's a lot of people who want them, I would need to do it as a giveaway. I have two different stages, two different tiers of giveaway tickets. There is there's a ticket called GaryCon Gith, which is like just you just register for the games you want to play, and it's just a virtual ticket. That's it. And then there's an Ethereum badge that is also, it's all of the virtual tickets and stuff, the same as the gift, but it also comes with like digital swag. I don't know what the digital swag means, but you get extra stuff. And so I can give away a number of those tickets each. Is that something anybody is interested in? If I was to run a sort of a GaryCon ethereal giveaway ticket, and give you some, give you the chance to get a virtual ticket to GaryCon, is that of interest to any of you? I like to imagine that on Rob's computer, instead of the spinning wheel, he has a galloping unicorn because Fancy is fixing everything. Ian, time to go catch a tram. Nice. Wanted to go but couldn't. Maybe that may be an option. Classic Sam interested. Michael Pilot interested. Jay Spates interested. Liska sounds interesting. All right, there's a few of you interested. I can give away some virtual tickets for sure. Let's see. Do I remember anything about what it is? If I go to the GaryCon thingy-mabob and I say get or view your badge. And then if I look at, what does it mean? So virtual badges, here we go, there's some information. Badges for our virtual attendees using the internet to celebrate globally. You can buy a GIF badge for just $5, which is your virtual badge with the ability to sign up and play and GM in any virtual con games, GaryCon games. This badge does not qualify for any virtual swag. Blah, blah, blah. Then there's the ethereal badge, which is normally $20, but I can give you it for free. Virtual badge with access to all 4 days of the virtual events, and all ethereal badge holders will receive free digital swag. Whatever the digital swag means. Thingy sent me the codes for them. He did. He sent me the codes for them. The codes for the giveaways. So what you would do is you'd go onto the tabletop.events website, and you would buy the ticket that you want, but then at checkout you put in the code that I would give you, and you'll get it for free. That's how it should work in theory. So we should do a giveaway, Fancy. How do we run that? How do I run that on YouTube streaming? I'm just looking to Fancy because she's my deputy and she knows how to run things. I imagine Bender from Futurama, he has digital swag. Nice. I swear I keep hearing that as GIF instead of gift. That's because I keep saying GIF. the title of that particular tier of GaryCon badge is GIF. Get people to go to Twitch and use Nightbot. That's extra steps though. None of these people know how to use Twitch. We're on YouTube. It's almost 4 AM and I must do the sleeping thing. So long, friends. No worries, Cecily. Thank you for being here. Go to sleep. Enjoy your sleeps. Speaking of YouTube, since we're on YouTube, have you all seen my shorts? Mare's purple shorts. Have you all seen my shorts? I've got two different short series started. I've got a series called Robert Rants, which is just like a series of like 15-second to 30-second YouTube shorts of me just like outlining something that's stupid about the Dungeons and Dragons game. And I've got a series starting called Score Skill Swap, where I take the regular ability scores and the skills and I swap them around. So like athletics check, but instead of using strength it uses intelligence. And I talk about that and do a little skit about it. And I'm very proud of them. And they're doing pretty well. Have you seen them? If you haven't, go to my YouTube, Robert Hartley GM, which I think you're on right now. And make sure to watch my shorts and give them a like and a comment for the algorithm. There's a spinning randomizer wheel that you can use online. We couldn't get Nightbot to come here, so they must go there. If we want to use Nightbot, I suppose that is true. Rob wears short shorts. I wanted more ranting. Well, you wanted me to rant as much as I rant, but in a fucking 15-second clip? It's not gonna happen. I'm trying to move away from being that ranty guy as well. Like, I don't want my brand to just be that ranty guy who's always always grumbling about something. Gather the names here and put them in a Wheel of Fortune on the net and roll that for the giveaway. I could do that. That'd be pretty fun. I love the Score Skill Swap. A very cool idea. Thank you. You should do a Robert Raves. Things that are good about the D&D game. Things they got right or make sense. That's a good idea, Space. I'm gonna add that to my list, so that I'm not just that ranty guy. I'm gonna start a Robert Raves. Welcome to Robert Raves. This thing in Dungeons and Dragons is awesome game design. I love this about Dungeons and Dragons. Robert Raves. Stuff I love about the game design of D&D. That's a very good idea. I like that. I shall start to keep my eye out for those sorts of things where I'm like, I love that that's something that's about the game that I really like. You should do a Robert Raves. During Robert Raves, will you have glow sticks? Yeah. I'll put subtitles on, and that's the only way you'll know what I'm saying, is I'll just put like really loud music over the top of it. Play that game Rackham does while when he has giveaways. I don't know what that game is. Oh, the marbles. I don't even know how to do marbles. I just see people doing marbles on stream, but I don't know how to actually do it. How do people play marbles on stream? Where is that even from? Where is marbles? And it's thought there was a half-bad relationship between you and Viva. For example, excluding your last sponsored content, they did the everyone can play thing. Yeah, so alright, let's talk Viva for a second, shall we? Is Robert a silent disco? I've never been to one of those. They sound fun. It's a Steam game and you can join and then the game takes over with your name on a marble. It's on Steam, I think. Your job is to choose the maps and then control the camera during the race. I've done one at uni, they are fun. You don't like marbles? They started doing NFTs, NFCs, non-fungible cakes. You can't funge this cake. Yeah, let's talk Viva just in case people missed me talking about it after Twitch Tales earlier today. Viva and I, people have been apparently concerned that Viva and I have a not great working relationship because I talk about them somewhat negatively at times, and they leave me out of things from time to time. While that is not entirely untrue, it is also far from the full picture. Like, if I was to rant about a particular thing that I didn't like about Dungeons and Dragons, it doesn't mean that I hate Dungeons and Dragons. And if I rant about something that I didn't enjoy about an interaction I had with Viva the day before at a green screen or something, it doesn't mean that I hate working with them or vice versa. And so while we have not had a negative working relationship, I would say it is fair to say that we haven't been. There's been sort of uneasy air between us for a while now because of things like me feeling a little bit less than considered from time to time, and them not enjoying the way that I talk about them publicly and stuff like that. And so it's kind of stuff that just got swept under the rug because it's not something that's huge enough to really like cause a fuss about. But after 5 years of working together, eventually you've swept so much stuff under the rug that the rug is kind of getting misshapen and gross to step on. And eventually you've got to address that, and you've got to lift up the rug and go, oh, this is kind of gross, let's clean this up. And so thankfully we had that discussion. I went in and we just talked honestly and openly and chatted about how things had gotten to this stage and like how things could be better, how I'd been feeling about certain things for a few years, and how they'd been feeling about the way that I talk about them, and you know whether or not we really like value each other and like where we stand with stuff and where we want to work, where we want to get to with working together and things like that. And it was really healthy and really great to talk to them and to like be able to air a lot of these very minor grievances that had occurred, because again, I want to be very clear, it was not the majority of our interactions. Like the vast majority of our interactions in any sort of scenario, when I was writing for them or when I'm acting for them or when I'm DMing for them or when I'm doing green screen stuff, they've all been enjoyable. I've enjoyed working with them. It's just that from time to time there's things where I just kind of have to roll my eyes and go like, oh, of course they didn't talk about me at all during their podcast, or you know, this and that and the other, just little things. Of course, I'm the first time I'm hearing about this particular thing is from my audience and my fans rather than like from the horse's mouth. And those things, if you're rolling your eyes and going, ugh, and you don't actually bring that up, then it becomes this sort of this niggling kind of passive aggressive thing that just like takes over. And so we got the opportunity to talk all of that out and to apologise for our various states and why we got to where we're at, and to talk about the future. And it was fantastic. It felt really, really cleansing and really really rewarding to talk to them about where we're going from here. They agreed to be like, once I'd pointed out that you know the ways that certain things they do make me feel, they're like, oh shit, we didn't realize that, and how can we make you feel more valued, and all of that sort of stuff. They've agreed that like one of the things was in like all of the episodes that I've ever done with them for like D&D and stuff, I've never been in the there's never been a link to my work. In 170 episodes or so of the campaign, I've done I stream on Twitch annotation about 4 times in 170 episodes. And every time I do one, there is a bump of people going, oh shit, I didn't know Robert was a dungeon master outside of Viva la Dirt League. And so it hasn't really helped my growth as my own channel, aside from the people like yourselves who have found me through just looking for me. So I mentioned that to them, and they were like, oh, we could definitely be pushing you more. Like, we haven't been consciously not pushing your stuff. We could be like including a link to your things in the description, or we could be like allowing you to do annotations like every time we record or something. And then and likewise, I was like, oh, and I didn't realize that me talking openly about my interactions with you was coming across as negatively as it is, and so I'll definitely be aware of that more often as well. I'll make sure to let my audience know that like I enjoy working with you, that it's not just like I look down on you guys and I'm ungrateful for the stuff you've done for me and the growth that you've shown me and that you've given me and stuff like that. So we talked things through and it was great. So here's your little reminder. If there's someone in your life that you're kind of feeling a little bit like, I don't really like that guy, maybe consider having a sit down chat with them, because it will be very daunting to think about doing that. It'll be very like anxiety inducing. But after you have one of those conversations, I know from experience, you almost always feel better afterwards. Are you a bit nervous about their proprietary stuff crossing over to your proprietary stuff? Not really, no. We've talked through like what my plans are for my growth and what their plans are for their growth, and how I can help them grow as a company, how I can feel more like I'm part of the company, and vice versa, what they can do to be helping me grow as my company, and so on. Communication, often necessary, seldom done. Yeah, seldom done well. Good to hear. When we roll our eyes at their behaviour, it's because we appreciate and love them and know they can be better, and probably that they want to be better too. Yeah, great steps, but a shame it took so long. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like if nothing like major happens that's like, oh, we need to address that, then a lot of things can just be like, that's not worth bringing up. Sounds like a healthy way forward from here. Yeah, 100%. Glad you could chat honestly. Gotta have mutual respect and understanding. Negative stuff festers. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it does. In relationships too, like AJ and I do a thing called the Radar, which is a tool that I heard about in the last year or so. That it stems from like a business style thing as well, called a Scrum, but they sort of adapted it and made it more specific to relationships. And it's a good like check-in date to be like, hey, once a month or so we'll have our radar, and it's a few hours usually to just set aside and talk about everything, and you like schedule the different things that you're going to talk about, so that it's not as daunting and not as scary to be like, this thing's been festering for 3 years, because it's a dedicated time to bring up even minor grievances and minor things that have irked you over the last year, over the last month, before things have actually festered and gotten to being a problem. It stands for review. You start off by reviewing everything you've done between now and your last radar. The first A is agree the agenda, which is you talk through the different talking topics, because some of the things might not apply to you. Like there's a topic called household, and if you don't live together, then you might not have anything to talk about with regards to your household. Like family might not include kids if you don't have kids together or whatever. You might add in different things like pets. If you've got pets, then maybe that's a topic that you should add into the agenda. Maybe today, because you're in an emotional state, you want to start with the sort of light and easy stuff first and work towards the more difficult topics. Or maybe vice versa, you'd rather just start with the difficult topics, get right into it, so it's not like the elephant in the room and then get into later. So the first step is just agree the agenda. Without talking about things, you actually just agree what you're going to talk about and in what order. Then the D is discussion, and you have the actual like main body of your talk, which is discuss everything. Obviously there's a topic about sex, like are you having enough sex? Are you enjoying sex? Is there anything you'd be more enjoying, or trying out different things? There's a topic on like, obviously in polyamory, there's a topic of like other partners, a chance to talk about your other partners and whether things are going all right there. There's a topic of finances, there's a topic of travel, there's a topic of work, and there's a topic of all of these different things you can discuss. AJ and I have added in a topic of conventions, because we're going to so many that it's always a thing that we want to check in about. Are there any upcoming ones that we want to go to, that sort of stuff. Then the last A is action points. So once you've had your topics, then you can come up with tangible things. That's like, what can we be doing between now and the next radar that will show some of these other things that we've talked about. It's not enough to be like, I'm not feeling loved enough, because that's not really an actionable thing. How do you show that? What sort of steps can I take to show you that that I love you, or whatever? And then finally, the last R is reconnect. because it's about like doing something to be like, hey, this might have been an emotional conversation for us, if anything particularly triggering came up or whatever. Maybe it's taken quite a few hours to get through this radar because there was so much to discuss. And so it's always nice to end off with like a massage or watch a movie or, you know, fool around or whatever it is, to do something that's like fun and reconnecting. And it's a phenomenal process that I highly recommend to anyone for any relationship, because it is a real time to touch base once a month to be like, are there any of these tiny festering things that otherwise might get swept under the rug and then just linger for a year until eventually it's bred resentment in us. So I recommend it. If you want to try that in your own relationship, it's a really good communication tool. Because one of the things is, just because we can talk does not mean we can communicate. Communication is a skill, and like all skills, it needs to be learned. And it needs to be learned and practiced in order to get better at it. So in order to be a good communicator, it's not enough to just be like, oh, we're speaking the same language. And it's through tools like the radar that you can actively practice being a better communicator. Never heard of a scrum? It's an agile thing. Yeah, I've only heard of it in rugby terms. Yeah, same until recently. Always assumed that my parents were talking to each other about stuff, even if they weren't talking to us. But when my dad died, my mum said they just didn't talk about a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's unfortunately the case with a lot of people. There's a standing rule in my close friend group that if there is a problem, no matter how small or inconsequential, it gets talked about and resolved immediately. If you see something, say something. Yeah, nice, I like that. But say something directly to the person or the people in question. Yeah, you don't say see something, say something to that other guy. Gossip about it. We should do one, Rob, for the business. Yeah, we should have a monthly thing where we just like don't talk about business, but talk about meta talk. Talk about talking about the business. Cats just demand. It's a great way to learn how to listen to comprehend. Listen to comprehend, not listening to respond. Yeah. Not just listening for what for when it's appropriate for you to then speak. Listening to be like, okay, let me take in what's actually being said. And there's certain other tools that are really useful for good communication, like listening, paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is a really good, useful tool for communication. To be like, can you tell me if I'm understanding this by putting it in my own words, what you just said to me, so that I understand. Because one of the biggest things in arguments and stuff is that you're not actually arguing about the same thing. You think that they're talking about this thing, and they think they're talking about this thing, and you end up arguing about this, and it's like, we're not even arguing about the same thing. It's the opposite for me. When I went to speak with a gentle speech, the relationship became worse because they did it on purpose and didn't want to share the task's rewards. They preferred to continue having more. Not sure exactly what you mean by that. If honesty makes the relationship worse, doesn't sound like a relationship worth keeping. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Active listening. Yeah, active listening. Fantastic tool to try and master. You got to keep trying. And you're not going to be great at it. Nobody's going to be great at it when we first start doing it, but you get better at it. We got to practice active listening at uni. That was more useful than most things. Yeah. Not everybody understands paraphrasing at all. I was met with complete blank stares in a business setting while paraphrasing things back. Really? Jesus. One person is angry about something that the other person has no clue of. Yeah, you're festering about this thing. Oh, that person did this thing, and you're like, la 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 la. Didn't even know that this is a problem. And suddenly the first time that you hear that it's even a problem is them exploding at you. Can you put your fucking shoes away? Whoa, I didn't even know it was a problem. You've done it every day this week. Well then, if it was a problem, tell me it was a problem. Suddenly that person's now on the defensive immediately because they're like, I didn't know that this was a problem that was becoming a problem. Understanding how people like to communicate is a big thing. Yeah, communication is difficult. You gotta. There's a lot of elements to it. That's why you gotta practice it a lot more. I'm getting better at it, but I've got a long way to go. Bum 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 bum. Let's where can I hire someone to yell at me to put stuff away? You look like a crazy person for yelling out of nowhere. Yeah. Let's do the giveaway for the badge before I forget it, shall we? I think Fancy might be right that Twitch Nightbot might be the easiest thing to do. So so head over to twitch.tv/Robert Hartley GM if you haven't been there before. It's okay, can't even finish that. Head over to my Twitch channel, head into the chat, which you should find there even if I'm not live. It should be available. Then I'm going to go to giveaways. I'm going to make it, I'm going to make mods eligible as well. I don't see why not. I'm going to say keyword to enter the chat is just type into the chat. Oh wait, no. Hey Fancy, you need to head to my Twitch and make it non-emote only, right? Because otherwise people won't be able to type anything into the chat. It's emote only when I'm not live, right? Exclamation mark. Let's put exclamation mark GaryCon. GaryCon. If you want to enter into the chat and enter, thank you, Wraith, and then enter exclamation mark GaryCon, then you'll be in the draw to win one of the giveaway tickets that I have for it. There you go. You'll be in the draw with for a chance to win one of the GaryCon virtual tickets, one of the ones that you could that gives you access to playing games online. All right, paraphrasing is part of my job, says Classic Sam. What, fighting fires? On the other hand, I feel messages worked like a dream with my boss. I was pissed off about a decision, and I feel got the point across. Yeah. I'm confused how paraphrasing is confusing. It's just summarizing, right? What's to understand? Yeah, I don't understand how you can be confused for paraphrasing. You stream on Twitch? I do. I stream on Twitch quite often, in fact, like 3 times a week, regularly. Sometimes 4 times a week. Centauri's idea was good too. Patreon post, leave a word, and random number generator. Yeah, I could do that, but I didn't. Being careful to say this is how this made me feel rather than you did this. Yeah. You can fix that, big boy. You can fix that, big boy. Department Advocate. Where to enter? Head over to my twitch.tv/Robert Hartley GM. Go into there you go. I see you. You entered. I left and just got back. Where do we go? Go to my Twitch chat. Just because then I can use Nightbot. Nightbot isn't in my YouTube chat for some reason. We tried entering it into YouTube chat and it just wouldn't enter for some reason. We had problems setting up Nightbot in YouTube. I can't even remember what problems we had because it was so long ago that we tried. But we kind of put it in the too hard basket and it was like, I don't use YouTube streaming enough for it to be a problem. But I am looking at going into YouTube streaming a little bit more, or looking into it. I haven't actually looked into it yet, but it's on the cards that I might start looking into YouTube streaming because Twitch changed its terms of services and stuff, and I can multi-stream to both Twitch and YouTube now. So I'm going to look into if that's worthwhile and all of the rest of it. But until such a time, you can head over to Twitch, and even though I'm not live on Twitch, you can just enter the giveaway. Exclamation mark GaryCon. And then I'll draw it right here and right now. Well, right here in this stream anyway. I'll give you plenty of time to enter though. I'll pass. I'm not 100% sure I'll find time to participate in a game. That's fine, Karen. If you Patreon post, then those who are asleep can't make this time to get a chance. Yeah, I'll do that as well, Centauri. I've got a few of these posts to give away, so I'll give one away here, and I'll give one away. on a Patreon post at another time. That's fine. I help some kids learn how to communicate. It's a lot of learn and practice. Yeah, it's a lot to learn and practice. It's good that you're teaching kids though, because like better to teach them when they're younger than to grow up learning the wrong thing and then have to reteach it later. Usually a lot of people only start to learn how to communicate once trouble and strife has entered their life in a major way, like they're going through a divorce or something, and suddenly they're like, oh shit, gotta learn how to communicate better. I'm confused why YouTube sets itself up so hard to see the full video and also the chat. I don't know, unfortunately. There is a promotion for it. Can I put it out, Rob? Yes, you can. Thank you, Fancy. It was very, very well made. Thank you. What else do you guys want to talk about? We talked about a lot today. You guys enjoying Planescape? Is anybody watching it? You enjoying the GaryCon game that I'm in with Flurbex, the Plasmoid Druid? There is quite a delay today. I asked about Flurbex and nobody has mentioned anything yet. Nobody's actually responded. And now I just got what is the Epic Tals shenanigans. And then, yes, Flurbex Lodsa Conra's cousin. There's such a huge delay between my asking things and you answering them. I think there's a big lag today for some reason. I adore the GM's description of the actions. He has such a dry sense of humour. Yeah. I really enjoyed Eric's description of the Lady of Pain the other day. I don't want to spoil anything in case anybody's watching it and is behind and hasn't watched the latest episode or whatever. But his description of how a god interacts with a mortal was like really like it helped me and it inspired me to be better with my descriptions of gods, because I can get a little bit the gods are just powerful mortals kind of in my games a little sometimes. And I don't necessarily want my gods to come across as just powerful mortals. I like to make them feel a little bit like, whoa, a little bit like a different, just another plane of something, another level. And so listening to Eric's description of the Lady of Pain, even though she's not a god, she's basically a god. It was very good. I was like, ooh, some good descriptions here. I didn't realise that I've missed so much of Apis. Yeah, you've missed quite a bit, Classic Sam. I think if you said the last that you saw of Apis' story with Twitch Tales was during the time that they were just becoming Mushroom. That was like the 4th arc of the campaign, and we're in arc 6 now, I think. You must have been missing for most of arc 5. I need to review last week's episode. Do a Rowan lag test. What is a Rowan lag? Oh, he asks a word, right? And he says type this word in the thing. That sounds fun. Rowan lag test. All right. So I give you a 3-letter word, and I start the timer when I say it, and then I stop the timer with the first at the first person that I see type that word. Right? Is that how it works? Okay. The word is going to be, so you type this word as soon as you hear me say it, right? The word is going to be rat. Alright, the first lap came in at 10 seconds, 11 seconds, just 3 milliseconds shy of 11 seconds. So there was an 11-second delay, and then the last one that came in was 16 seconds. Winter Ghost had a 16-second... Fancy Unicorn has a 2-minute delay, apparently. Wait, Tayra, are you just coming in with rat now? Holy shit. There you go. I stopped the timer after 30 seconds because I thought everybody was in. But yeah, Larquin, you have the least lag, coming in at 11 seconds. Is there going to be the Playmats Goblins one shot at some point? That got cancelled. I'm not sure. It didn't get postponed. It got cancelled. He was too busy with other things, and something came in and cancelled it. And he was like, I'm just going to cancel it. I might reschedule it another time. Because of time zones, I only got to catch the first one so far. I'm now trying to catch up. You should try and catch up. It's a good one. It's a fun one. It's a little slow story wise at times, but it's an interesting. There's some interesting characters and some interesting interactions there. I'll tell you something that happened regarding the Planescape campaign, and with my newfound attempt to not be negative about things. I'm going to put some positive spin on this. Make sure that I'm saying this in a way that doesn't come across as misconstrued as negative. But after the most recent Planescape game, I got a sort of a weird vibe from Jason Charles Miller, and then the next day he sent me a message that was like, "Hey, do you happen to know my background with like working with Critical Role and Geek and Sundry and stuff? I'm just curious." And I was like, why would he ask me that? Like, that feels like a "do you know who I am" kind of a statement. And I was like, yeah, I know who you are. Like, I'm aware of who you are. I was excited to play with you and stuff. And then thankfully it was again another example of like, don't let things fester, because he sent me this message being like, he was kind of pissed at me because he got the impression from me during the game that I was dismissing him as some kind of noob and he didn't know the rules right, and he got really defensive.
Perception is
Oh,
24.
I got a follower on Twitch. Thank you. I'd given him the impression that I was like dismissing. I didn't know who he was, and I thought he was some D&D noob. And he was like, and he got quite defensive and was like, "I've been playing D&D for 40 years, so if I get a rule wrong, it's only because I've got all of these other rules in my head." And he didn't like. He wasn't nasty about anything. But I was left going, "Oh fuck! How did I give you this impression? I'm so sorry." And we talked it through, and he was, and I was like, "Oh no! That's not. I did not mean that when I said that." At some point, I'd said he'd mentioned some character that exists in the Forgotten Realms lore, Kelvin Blackstaff, and I thought he'd said Calvin Blackstaff, and at the time, because of the context, I thought he was just making a joke, like Barry Blue Jeans, like. I thought he was making a joke of like how Dungeons and Dragons names, you expect them to be like, "I'm Kelvin Blackstaff," but instead he'd said Calvin. Like, it's like you wouldn't expect a D&D character to be called Calvin. So I was like, no, I wasn't calling you out for saying Calvin. I just thought you were making a joke when I said Calvin. And he's like, "Oh, I thought it sounded like you were like going, ugh, this noob doesn't even know who Kelvin Blackstaff is." I was like, no, God, no, I wasn't saying that at all. Compounded onto that was he'd rolled. So this is how it all started. Actually, there was a shit ton of wild surges happening that session because of like reasons. Essentially, there was a fundraiser, and if you donated a certain amount of money, you'd get certain like certain chance of rolling wild surge or something. And so we accrued, because Wabbajack was in the chat, she just went, bam, all of the money all at once. And we accrued like 60 different wild surges or something. So at the end of pretty much every round, Eric was asking us for a percentage check. A percentage check to roll on the wild surge table. Only the way that he was asking for it was roll 2d10 for me. Instead of saying roll a percentage, he was like, roll 2d10. And the first time he asked Jason Charles Miller to roll 2d10, he got a 17. And there was a little part of my maths brain going, 17 is within the realm of both. It could have been a percentile, but it could also have been somebody rolling 2d10 and adding them together. So I won't say anything because he's Jason Charles Miller. I'm sure he knows to roll a percentage. Then the next roll came around, and he rolled a 17 again. Which, if you're rolling percentage, is only a 1% chance. But again, I let it go. I was like, he's probably not adding them together. Then the next turn came around, 3 turns in a row, he rolls another 17. And my maths brain goes, okay, at this point, the mathematical unlikeliness of rolling 3 17s in a row on a percentage die, which is, by the way, 1 in 10,000 chance, or a 0.01% chance, that is more unlikely than the chance in my mind of Jason Charles Miller just not realizing that he's being asked for a percentage check, and instead he's being asked for 2d10, and like in everything in D&D, if you roll 2d6, you add them together. So I was like, kind of incredulously, I was like, you're not adding them together, right? It's a percentage. And that was the thing that kind of pissed him off to begin with, because that I didn't realize that had come on the back of me looking like I was teasing him about not knowing Kelvin Blackstaff and all the rest of it, and blah blah blah. I mean, you're told to roll 2d10, you add them up because the DM's in charge. Exactly, right? So the fact that I'd questioned him, like, you're not rolling 2d10, that made him go, does this Robert guy not know that I've been playing D&D for 40 years, and I've played with like Critical Role and all these other people, and so he was kind of left with this like sour taste in his mouth about me. And then, like we were saying before, like the importance of good communication. Thankfully, he reached out and didn't let it fester. He reached out to be like, do you know I do know how to play D&D? Like, it seems like you're being a bit dismissive of me at times during the game. And I got the chance to be like, oh, not at all, what's happening. I apologize that that's the way it's coming across. It's just, that part was extremely mathematically unlikely, so it just kind of flabbergasted me. I was more questioning reality than questioning you. But yeah, that's a little bit of something that happened where I'm like, oh shit, one of the sort of big names of D&D have pissed at me. I don't like that. I don't like how that feels. But we sorted it with good communication, and I'm looking forward to meeting him in person at GaryCon as well. Speaking of which, let's roll this GaryCon giveaway, shall we? 3, 2, 1. Jay Spates! Congratulations, Jay Spates. I will send you the ethereal GaryCon badge. So let me open that up, and I will send you the thingamabob for it. Where do I have them? I might have to send you it later if I can't remember where the hell I found the thingamabob. No, it's here. I found it. So he actually rolled 17 3 times? Yeah, he genuinely... So he clarified for me that, yes, he did. He was aware that Eric was asking for a percentage check each time, and he was actually rolling a 1 and a 7 on the dice. And he got a 17 3 times in a row, which is a 1 in 10,000 chance. But not only a 1 in 10,000 chance, it's a 1 in 50,000... A 1 in... Because there's only a 1 in 5 chance that he had rolled. Because if, for instance, his first roll had been a 23, and then his next roll had been a 23, and then his next roll had been a 23, there's no chance of rolling a 23 on 2d10. And so I wouldn't have questioned that he was adding them together. And so the first roll had to have been some number between 2 and 20 inclusive, which is only a 19 out of 100 chance. So there's a 19 out of 100 times a 1 out of 100 times a 1 out of 100 chance. So it's actually like somewhere slightly less than the odds of 1 in 50,000 chance of him rolling the perfect dice to make me question reality, and then get him pissed off at me. So yes, congratulations, Spates. I will send you the details, which you'll need for. Let me grab the first of the codes that I have for giveaway, and Jay Spates. Are you Jay Spates on Discord as well? Are you in my Discord, Jay Spates? Jay Spates. Is this you? Is this you, Jay Spates? There you are. Congrats. I've just sent you the Discord, the message, the fucking words. Oh, so God, it's so hot in here. I've just sent you the code on Discord. What I was told about them is that you just need to go as if you're going to buy the ethereal ticket on the virtual GaryCon page, and then instead of checking out, you add that into the code box, and it should discount the price of the ticket or something. Let me know if it gets confusing or you don't know what to do. Was you rolling percentage or 2d10? Can you roll a percentage on 2d10? Would it be too confusing which die is the 10s, which is the 1s? How would 2d10 affect the odds of getting 17 3 times? You can roll 2d10 you can roll a percentage on 2d10. For instance, if I took Apus's gem die and Mel's stripy die, and I rolled those, what I would do is either I just take whichever one is further left on my desk to be the tens column, or I allocate which of my dice is the tens column before I roll it, or if they're exactly the same dice from the same set, then I would just roll them in my left and my right hand like so, or I would just roll them separately. Or I would roll the same dice twice and take the first number to be the 7 and the next number to be the 0, so 70. So there's lots of ways that you can do it to roll 2d10 and get a percentage from it, as long as you're consistent with it each time. And if you are consistent with it each time, then it doesn't affect the odds of getting it at all. They use D&D Beyond for rolling lore. I assume you clicked on the D100 dice roll? Yeah, probably. I've seen some sus repeats on VTTs before. Yeah, same. That's the thing about VTTs though, like nobody questions real world dice all that much. If you roll some amazing like patterns in real world dice, you're just like, whoa, cool pattern. If you roll it in a VTT, suddenly you're like, what's going on with the code here? Because our brains are terrible at actually noticing randomness. And what we think is random is actually pretty organized, and vice versa. If you notice a pattern, you like dismiss it as that's not random, but that usually is. Rob, Gith. Are we doing a Gith giveaway? We are doing a Gith giveaway. So now that I have given away the ethereal one that comes with virtual swag, I'm going to do another giveaway on my Twitch. So you can, maybe you only entered because you wanted the swag giveaway, so I will not just re-roll with the same people. Instead, I will go with exclamation mark Gith, G-I-T-H. If you want the Gith badge, if you want a free Gith badge, which is just a badge to the virtual GaryCon where you can enter games and you can play games, you can DM games, then just go to my Twitch channel and type exclamation mark Gith, G-I-T-H, because that's the name of the thing. So while people are entering Gith, let's talk about what amazing thing happened in today's private game, shall we? In my game with the Blue Steel Troop. So fading back into Sleepyland, I'll stay on until you leave, but if I win and I don't answer, that's why. No worries, Sam. If you win, I'll just send it through to Discord to you, and you won't have to be here to claim. It's fine. Is that Rob's Discord pinging, or am I going to... It is my Discord pinging, yes. So, here's some context for you. The Blue Steel Troop is a game, one of my home games, with my good friend Talia, and my good friend Joel, and my good friend Dead Aussie Gamer. We've got 1, we've got 2, and unfortunately, Tal's character is dead. So she doesn't have a mini. This is the one that's currently representing her. We're online, unfortunately, ever since Joel moved to Japan and Dag joined us from Western Australia. It means that we don't actually play in person anymore, which sucks. But Talia is a level 12 monk called Grid. She's a half orc She's currently represented by this little character here, ever since her actual character from Hero Forge got chewed up by Harvey, the little bastard. What is a Gith? I've heard of it maybe in Witcher 3. It's a character it's a race in D&D as well. They are sort of like an astral race. They're like space piratey things. They've got like a snake-like nose and long pointed ears. They've got yellowy skin, quite an elongated body. There's a main character in Baldur's Gate 3 that's a Gith. They are adamant warriors against and hold a hatred for mind flayers and illithids because of the whole backstory thing. Rob is bleeping, but don't discount insanity anyway. Yeah. Can I ask a question about the private games? Do you create your own character or do you use a pre-built character? For my private Sanctum games, you create your own character. Create your own. So Tals is playing that. My good friend Joel is playing Lagan, who is a sort of an anime protagonist kind of a character. He is a human who has naturally blue hair, and he does not know why. But he and his father were the only two people he's ever known to have naturally blue hair, and his father went missing when he was about 6 years old, and so his whole sort of quest is to track him down. He's got a big-ass anime sword, as you can see. That is Lagan. And then this is Dag's character, who is playing Maki. Maki is a sentient training dummy, who is based on my own homebrewed Warforged race. And my Warforged race, it really doesn't want to focus on this thing, does it? My Warforged race has 4 different race sub-options. He is 4-armed, which does not mean anything for anything other than roleplay reasons, really. I haven't given him extra attacks each round. The reason he has a dead guy on his back is because he is carrying around his master, who is dead and in a gigantic urn, essentially, and he just carries him around on his back. That is Lutzin Lagan in the sword game. Yeah, that was pretty fun. Yeah, you have met Lagan. That's right. You met Lagan when he was a little kid in the one shot that he did. I think that was for GaryCon. All comes back around. It was for Virtual GaryCon 2 years ago, I think it was. And you met young Lagan because it was set like 10 years in the past. So those are the characters setting the scene. To set the scene further, Grid, being a half orc, is currently in a bit of. It's basically her arc of the campaign, or at least it started that way. I don't want to go into specifics because it's a home game, so I've allowed myself to be a little bit more sensitive. I've allowed myself to delve into a little bit more sensitive topics. So suffice it to say that she is a half orc that was not a product of a nice matrimony. And her father, her biological father, is an orc warlord chieftain, and he appears to her in her dreams and like tries to claim her and say like, come and be with me. It's sort of, there's remnants of like Darth Vader kind of, join me and we can take over the world kind of thing. She turned up to his warlord castle in the mountains in the middle of winter with the rest of her party in tow, and he mentioned something to her, and on the offhand, he mentioned her biological mother, and he mentioned her mother's full name, and that was the first time in the campaign that they had heard Grid's biological mother's full name, because her mother died in childbirth, giving birth to Grid, and she was raised in a monastery. When he mentioned her mother's surname, suddenly it made sense that Lagan's father, who disappeared when he was 6, also had that surname. And everything suddenly, after 6 or 7 years playing, suddenly everything sort of fell into place that Lagan's father lost his younger sister and had a hatred of orcs because of what happened to her, and went out into the world to find and kill random orcs to sort of take vengeance for his sister. and that is responsible for Lagan's father moving away. So in a way, this chieftain doing what he did to Grid's mother led to Lagan's father leaving, which led to the whole thing. So now Grid and Lagan are even closer because they realise they're first cousins. They attacked this guy without too much thinking things through, because anime protagonist, and like he's very black and white in what's right and wrong. And so he was, as soon as he realised what the implication was here, and this guy is responsible for my father leaving, out came the gigantic sword, and he tried to attack him. Of course, this orc warlord has like warlock powers and all sorts of other things, so it was a very difficult fight for them. They almost died. They actually got captured. Then they managed to escape, use some really skin of their teeth clutch moments to try and escape this warlord's castle and flee out into the wilderness. Grid doesn't have any of her belongings because that was all left back when they got captured. Lagan doesn't have his magic sword because that got taken from him. So basically they've got their backup weapons and they are fleeing into the mountains. And they're in the middle of winter and they're taking like exhaustion from being in the cold and stuff, and now they've got to survive in the mountains. This is all backstory that happened before this session. A few sessions ago, they while they were fleeing from this guy, they encountered various different things on the way, like different mountain animals and creatures and monsters of my own creation, as well as encountering a fleeing an orc family. They found this orc family called Gribak, and his wife, daughter, and his mother-in-law, essentially. They also had in tow with them a white drake, like a wingless dragon, essentially, a tiny little like guard dog sort of thing. And they were fleeing from a clan of orcs that's further south of here called the Dragon Riders. This is going to become important. In the mountain range that they are currently in, there's about 6 different clans of orcs that I came up with. There's the Tuskers that like sharpen that they like break off the tusks of their dead and turn them into weapons. They sharpen their own tusks into weapons. They worship their own tusks and everything tusk related. There's the Blood Dwellers, which are kind of like the magic orcs, that they use blood rituals and blood sacrifice, and they kill each other. They kill other Blood Dwellers in order to do magical effects. They've actually bred a super race of their own blood dwelling people who like willingly give themselves as sacrifices because they believe that it's actually putting them in a better place in the afterlife and stuff. There's the Dragon Riders, which, as per their name, have pretty much all of them come with a Drake companion, and they worship dragons and stuff. There's the Shadow Dwellers, the Shadow Touched, which are Grid's father's whole clan and everything. So they were fleeing the Shadow Touched. They came across this other family who's fleeing the Dragon Riders, and they said, "We need to work together. You need to go back to the Shadow Touched. You need to go back to the Dragon Riders and like take over them, because what they wanted to happen is they wanted the they wanted to basically unite the other orcs against the Shadow Touched. The Shadow Touched have got like warlock powers, and they're growing exponentially, and they're growing way faster than they should be, and all this, and they're a real danger of taking over the world, sort of thing. And they're like, we have to stop them now. We need to get all of the other orc clans together to fuck them up. You need to go back to the you need to go back to the Dragon Riders and take them over. I won't get into the whole thing about what was happening with the Dragon Riders, but basically they'd lost their chieftain to some other metaphysical force that killed their recent chieftain, and this guy was being blamed for it, so he was fleeing. They were like, "Hey, what could convince you to go back and take over as new chieftain of the Dragon Riders, so that we can have an ally, so that we can sort of implement somebody who's in a good position of power?" This guy goes, "Well, our dragon recently, the dragon that we worship, recently died. It was also these guys that killed that dragon, but they were not going to tell him that. They killed that dragon and just left him to be eaten by things in the wilderness. They were like, oh well, he was a nuisance to us, nothing more." It was like, "Well, our dragon recently was killed, and so I'm looking for where his body is, so that my drake, Chirik, my white dragon drake, can eat the dragon's heart, and then through some sort of magical dragon ritual situation, my drake will evolve into an actual, like, full-winged dragon, and then the dragon riding clan will have a new dragon to worship, and then I'll be in a position of power to actually take over as clan leader." They went, ooh, let's do some divination magic and see if we can tell where this dragon was killed. Oh, we happen to know exactly where this dragon was killed. We'll take you there now. They took this guy and his fleeing family to where they'd left the body of his god, essentially. How it wouldn't be all rotted out eaten? It was literally only like 6 days. It was like something like 10 days before, and it's in the middle of the mountains in the heart of winter, so it was probably eaten, but not necessarily rotten. They got to the dragon carcass. Sure enough, it had been eaten. It had been eaten by 3 baby Behir, which, if you don't know them, they're just kind of like lightning dragons. Behir and dragons hate each other. That's a whole thing I won't get into. But 3 baby Behir had eaten this dragon's heart, so they said, "Ugh, the heart's already gone." And the guy said, "It'll be in their stomach still." And so they killed the Behir babies, they tore them open and got the dragon's heart out that's kind of still semi-digested. They put it back in the red dragon's chest cavity, and said, like, "Have at." This guy allowed his drake Chirruk to go and eat of the heart. He ate it. He did like a ritual to the dragon lords and said, like, "Please imbue the power of this dragon into my dragon." And sure enough, wings burst out the back of this white dragon. He became a young white dragon. The orc Gribek immediately grabbed a hold of the dragon and, like, look at me, I'm your master. We need to bond immediately. I need to be the first guy you see after hatching, essentially, so that you bond with me, all that stuff. He jumps on his back, he sort of wrestles him into submission and says, "Go, go, go," and then he takes him out the cave and just takes him out into the storm to be starting his first flight, a whole bonding process. Chirruk and Gribak managed to properly bond, like have a soul bond sort of situation, and so he comes back invigorated. He's a little bit frostbitten from like his first flight through the snow, but he comes back and he says, "Look, I believe what you've been telling me. I am strong enough to lead the Dragon Riders. Let's go back to the Dragon Riders, and I'll take charge. I'll take control." So Lagan and the Blue Steel Troop are thinking, "Great, we are now injecting a man that we have saved the life of back into a position of power with one of the major clans of orcs to the south. That's one down. We will now be able to go off to one of the other clans and be like, hey, the Dragon Riders are on our side. If you get on our side, then we can all tackle the Shadow Touch together." It's like the first step in a multi-stage process of getting all of the orcs on their side. So, and it works out great. Foreshadowing. So they all fly off together, back home to the Dragon Rider clan. They touch down in the middle of this valley, big deep valley, 70 foot deep into the bottom of this, like between 2 cliffs, essentially, 70 foot deep. The dragon swoops down and lands right outside of the walled town that is the Dragon Rider clan. The Gribak and his family dismount from the dragon and they stroll into the village to be like, "I'm fucking back, baby. I've got a dragon, and I am now because I've got a dragon, I'm in charge of this clan," kind of thing. The guy who is the son of the now deceased chieftain is like, "You were the one who killed my father with your magic." He didn't actually kill him with the magic. It just kind of looked like that because of circumstances. The chieftain was killed by an invisible spirit. But this guy was close enough to the situation that everybody blamed him for it, hence why he had to flee with his family. He's like, "You killed my father, and then you ran away like a coward. That is not very orc. It's not very orc of you. You don't belong. You're not a true leader. Blah blah blah." Huge sort of argument starts out. So Lagan, being the guy that he is, he steps up and he goes, "Let me handle this. You don't have a dragon. This guy's in charge because you don't have a dragon." Is basically how the diplomacy went. I'm Lagan Jiha. I am the lord of this and I am the lord of that. And he's like, because he's an anime character, he's got this like, he's got this way of presenting himself every time. He's like, "I am Lagan Jiha, leader of the Blue Steel Troop, formerly known as the Team Guran. I'm the slayer of this, and I'm known to the Tusker Orcs as the Blue Demon, and I'm known as this and that." And he like explains himself, and then he goes, "You don't have a dragon," and he's all like bravado. Meanwhile, Maki, who is pretty good at because he is a training dummy and he is trained in the arts of certain like guerrillan tactics. That's why he's got 4 arms, because he's the 4-armed gorilla thing. He says, "Do I recognize this as like an instinctual like two alpha animals, sort of like whoo, just chest beating and doing nothing?" And I was like, "It's very much that." And so he goes, I run over with my 65-foot movement speed, and I punch the other kid in the face, the son of the deceased chieftain. I punch him in the face, and with my monk skills, I use a spend a point to do stunning strike. I punch him in the face, and I say, "You insolent kid! You think that you can talk about honor and respect and blah blah blah. Your father would be ashamed, and I will prove to you your father's ashamed, because I can speak with the dead. Take me to your father's corpse, and I will speak to him." And he rolls intimidation checks, and he succeeds. So the kid is like, "All right, fucking dig up my dad. He's gonna get answers from him. He's gonna find out who actually killed him." All this. All of the orcs leave town to go and dig up this guy's dad, because why would, like, nobody's sitting at home at that point being like, I'll catch it tomorrow. Like, no, this is the most exciting thing to happen in the last month. Let's all go out to the graveyard together and watch this happen. So they leave these three to just kind of hang out in town for a second while they're digging things up, and while they're just having this conversation in town, they're basically saying, "I don't care who's in charge here. As soon as we leave here, it doesn't matter if Gribak's in charge or if Fergan's in charge. Either one of these is in. Like, if we've sort of injected whoever is winning, they're kind of talking like the Illuminati or something, rigging an election. They're like, it doesn't matter who's in charge as long as they're our friends, because that's our entire goal, to just get the orcs on side." Then they go out, they dig up the body. They cast Speak with Dead on it, and in my games, Speak with Dead only works for the cleric that is casting it. Nobody else can see the corpse moving, nobody else can hear the corpse's answers. The cleric asks the questions, the cleric hears the responses, then the cleric has to be trusted with the response. In a similar way to how Zone of Truth, the cleric is aware of who failed their saves and who didn't, but then you've just got to trust whether the cleric is also then lying about that or not. So there's like an added level of trust involved with cleric spells. So Dag's character, who is partial cleric, partially monk, as you've assumed from the context, he asks Speak with Dead, and he says, and I'll bring up the exact wording of his questions because it'll become important for the rest of the context of the story. Where is it? Blue Steel Troop. For some reason, it's not on my recent documents, even though I had it open today. Blue Steel Troop campaign notes, collapse all because there's too many words, and then go to random notes, questions for Speak with Dead. There we go. The first question is, what is the most important thing for the chieftains of the Dragon Riders to possess? And this dead chieftain says, the respect of the dragon god, meaning the dragon that they worship. The one that the Blue Steel killed. So the first question is, what is the most important thing for your clan? And the guy says, respect from dragons. The next question is, what do you think the Dragon Riders could survive without dragons? And the chieftain responds, no more than the blood-dwelling clan can survive without blood. So, like, dragons are literally our lifeblood. What is the purpose of the Dragon Riders' unity? And he goes, so, like, why are you even a clan? What do you exist for? What is most important to you? And he says, survival of our lineage. So, like, passing down through generations the respect of dragons and surviving as a dragon riding clan. He asks, what events led to your death? And given that this is not like an omniscient divination of like actual truth, but instead it's asking the dead boy, the dead corpse, for their subjective opinion about what happened, he responds, which didn't help. He responds, Gribak used cowardly magic to kill me from afar because I killed his brother Gogan. And that isn't what happened, but that is what it looked like was happening. And so he died thinking that Gribak killed him. And so as soon as Dag's character is relaying all of these, because as soon as he asked the first question and realized, oh, I'm the only one who can hear him, I'll just say what he's saying out loud. So the other kid, the kid who's questioning Gribak's authority, is hearing all this stuff about respect of dragons. Dragons are important. He's seeing Gribak sitting right there, riding a fucking dragon, and going, "Oh God, this is not looking bad. This is not looking good for me. I'm about to challenge this guy's question his authority, and like, oh, he's not even talking to him. He's making it up." Until it suddenly works for him, because then he hears Gribak use cowardly magic and he goes, "See, my father even says it. Gribak killed him. He's not to be trusted, blah, blah, blah." Suddenly this riot kicks off. Dag asks him, during the riot, Dag asks his final question, "Is your son ready to lead the clan against the current threats to the Dragon Riders?" And the chieftain responded, "My son will be ready in a few years, but for now he is too young." And so he's like, he's turning us against him, and he's Gribak has been enchanting this dragon. The dragon doesn't actually bond with him. He's using magic. He's some sort of coward because he uses magic. Because the orcs don't really like magic; they think it's cowardly. And so he's like, he's a coward that uses magic. Blah blah blah. Suddenly this riot kicks off, and I say, "Sorry, you've said the wrong things. You've gone too far here, and you've deliberately given this guy some sort of fuel to try and incite everybody against you, so roll initiative." It's going to kick off. And I'm basically just using just general orc stat blocks for the most part, and these guys are level 12 party. They definitely can waste a bunch of orcs, but the point is, are they going to try and waste a bunch of orcs? Because their whole purpose is to try and like get these orcs on their side and unite them against the bigger threat that is coming from above, the fucking shadow orcs. So I'm giving them a fight knowing these orcs are going to be trying to attack you and you don't want to attack them, so what are you going to do about it? So Grid's like knocking them down, using her monk magic to be like, bam, you're on the floor, and like you're also stunned, and like you push them back, get them away from us, like fuck off, I don't want to hurt you, sort of thing. Maki is doing his monk stuff of like knocking them back and healing people and being like, hey, we don't want to fight. Largan in his bravado way, he's a battle master fighter, stroke bard. And so he's got some battle master things like commanding presence and menacing strike, and he's all about intimidating and being a very powerful, charismatic force. Like if Largan walks into a room, you notice. And so he slams his sword against himself and casts Thunderwave as his bardic thing, and he like blasts a couple of them back. And then he action surges so that he can then try an intimidation check as his other action, and he adds his commanding presence dice onto that to do an intimidation check. And I say, what do you say? Because he rolled like a 28 intelligence. And he says, he thinks in the moment, these guys worship dragons, therefore, if we tell them that we've slayed dragons before, because up to this point in the campaign, they've killed 2 dragons already by level 12. 2 like adult dragons as well. And so he goes, I am Largan Jihar, and I am not here to kill you, but I will put you in the ground if you make me. You are less than worms to me. We are dragon slayers, and we have killed dragons before, and we will kill every one of you if you blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Tara's on it. Oh, no. So I say, you see most of the orcs immediately drop weapons and go, oh, fuck, I just wanted to jump in because it was a brawl and I like fighting, but I'm not fighting people who can kill dragons. So the orcs back off. The orcs say, oh no. The orcs say, don't kill me, mate. I have him roll a perception check and he gets a 3. So what he doesn't notice is that Chirruk, the now awakened white dragon that has just been with them, flying them down here, also hears him claiming to be a dragon slayer and goes, you fucking what? And he starts to stand to his feet and join the fight. And when I explained that this is something that basically, because I tried to describe, because Joel, way back in the day when we first started this campaign, because he told me his character is basically an anime character, and he showed me the anime that he's basing it on, and I went and for my research I would like watched the entire anime so that I would know like which elements to include into the story and stuff so that he would enjoy himself most. Because of all of that, I try to describe things in a very TV kind of way for him. I try to describe things in a bit of an anime cinematic kind of way. And so I described him doing this like really intimidating anime close-up intimidation, and then I say, and then the sort of outside edge color that you see in a lot of anime, those sorts of lines that come out from you, those things slowly fade and disappear, and you see suddenly behind him this white dragon emerging and like and closing in on him from behind. I give him this dramatic irony of like, you don't see this, but the dragon's entering initiative now. The dragon breathes his his ice breath all over them. The dragon just straight up one-shots most of the orcs of the clan because he's just a young dragon. He doesn't really think too much yet, and even among dragon kind, whites are the dumbest of the dragons. They're the most bestial. They just like to hunt and kill more than anything. They don't really think things through. So he just straight up annihilates most of the orcs. Gribak, the guy that they've saved the life of, and his family, that he was fleeing and they saved his life, and then they set him up for a position of power, is now turning on them because he's like, you fucking what? You slaying dragons? I'm not going to side with you. I don't care if you saved my family. You're going to die. And Lagan's like, oh, for fuck's sake. And he turns around and he draws his sword and he's like, don't come at me. I'll kill your dragon. Don't come at me or I'll kill your dragon. And the guy's like, you and what army? I've seen you fight and you are incredible. You are a very good fighter, but fucking good luck. And so Grid, who's like, I guess we're doing this now. Grid runs over to the dragon. Because she's the level 12 monk, she's got that level 9 feature that says you can run up surfaces without needing to make a check. You can go like up walls and across ceilings and shit. So she just runs up the front leg of this dragon and lands on top of him right next to the dragon rider, Gribak. And she just starts punching Gribak in the face. She's trying to push him off of the back of this thing. Gribak uses his turn to like bring the dragon up into the air, being like, all right, let's do it. No wonder it ran long, right? So the dragon takes off, flies up to the edge of the cliff and like out of sight of Lagan. Lagan takes an attack of opportunity on him, but it's not enough because it's a dragon. He lands out of sight of the others, and they're like down at the bottom of this 70-foot valley. And I kept saying that it's 70 foot because Dag, as soon as he got to it, he was like, I've got slow fall as a monk, and he just jumped off. And I was like, yeah, all right, you've got slow fall, which can reduce it by 35 damage, but that's still going to be like 50 some damage that you take from jumping 70 feet. So I knew exactly how high this canyon was. He's out of sight now separated Grid from the rest of them, and he's like trying to scratch like. He's replenished his breath weapon by this point, but he can't turn his head round and blast at her because she's standing right in the middle of his shoulder blades. And although white dragons do have this long serpentine neck and they can turn around and bite things on their own backs, he doesn't want to breathe ice weapon at the guy that he's soul bonded to that's also riding on his back. So instead he's like trying to claw at her and scratch at her. I'm giving him disadvantage on the attacks. She is taking some damage, but not a hell of a lot, or at least I don't realise it's a hell of a lot. Meanwhile, Dag is like, if I run all the way over to the other side of the canyon and look up, can I see them at all, like from there? And I'm like, yeah, if you run all the way and like push yourself right up against the wall, you can just see a glimmer of them on top of the other wall of the other wall of the canyon, but it'll have half cover. And so he's like, guiding bolt, guiding bolt, and he's like firing from there. Lagan can't do shit down on the ground. Meanwhile, Grid is getting whittled down, and she's on her own. She eventually gets down to 4 hit points, and then she disengages. She runs to the edge of the cliff and starts to run down vertically, but she runs out of movement, which means she then drops the rest of the way. Thankfully, she's a higher level monk than Dag is, so she can reduce more of the damage from falling. So she falls without taking any damage. And then as an action, as a 6th level Way of the Open Hand monk, she can heal herself for 3 times her level. So she gets back 36 hit points, but she's like she's always epic on low to no HP, yeah. So she like gets back 36 hit points. She's not in quite as dire straits now, but it is looking dangerous. The dragon has been whittled down to the point where I keep telling them like, hey, it's getting close, like the dragon is bloodied. So instead of chasing her down, because if he flies down to try and finish her off, Lagan can get in range and definitely do a shit ton of damage with that massive anime sword that I gave him. Because stupidly, when I didn't know better about balance and stuff way back in the day, I gave him a 2d8 longsword, a claymore. But it works for the character. He's just a damage dealer. It just means that I have to give all my monsters a little bit more hit points. So instead, Gribak says, "Fuck you guys for attacking me after what we had, and for killing dragons and whatever. Good luck long resting out here in the mountains when you'll be looking over your shoulder for me. I'm coming for you, and I'm gonna kill each of you." And then he takes off and he like flies. He deliberately like runs along like away from the canyon so that he's staying out of sight of Dag's guiding bolt. He runs as far as he can that way. Then he takes off and flies a little bit further. While Grid was on his back, she was stabbing the dragon in the wing, specifically taking called shots, which, if you remember from my games, means I'm going to increase the armor class of the thing, but if you hit, it'll do some additional effect. Because she was going for its wing, every time she hit with one of these called shots, I was reducing the damage's fly speed, the dragon's fly speed by 5. So she only managed to hit once. It reduced him from 80 to 75. So because he dashes on his turn, the dragon, he's 150 feet away from where he was on the top of the canyon. That's going to become important. So Dag says, "Can I like I've got 65 feet movement. Can I move? Can I run? Can I bonus action dash with a key point and then use my 120 range guiding bolt to be within range of him?" And I said, yes, if it was a single like flat land that you're on, but it's not. You're at the bottom of a canyon. You'd need to get up a 70-foot wall, and you're not a 9th level monk yet because you're multiclassed. But so the dragon's just gone, which means that Grid gets to go, Lagan gets to go, and then Maki gets to go before the dragon gets to go again. And so they all sort of start chiming in and whirling on each other's ideas and stuff. And what ends up happening is Grid, having just dropped off of the land, dropped off of the top of this 70-foot tower, and then healed herself a little, immediately then turns and runs back up the tower, runs back up the side of the wall. She's only got a 50-foot movement because she hasn't got the mobile feet and stuff like Dag's character does. So she doesn't make it all the way to the top, but she gets there and then she readies, in action. Time for Pythagoras, exactly, it's coming. So she stands on the wall 20 feet from the top.
Perception is 24.
Ooh, another one of these. Thank you very much. She's 20 feet from the top of the wall and she's readying. I have her make a constitution check because the running up walls thing in 9th level monks specifically says you must end your turn on a horizontal surface or you'll fall. So I'm gonna kind of like I'm rule of cooling that. I'm allowing her to try and push herself beyond her normal capabilities. The way I see it and I describe it is whenever monks are doing that, they're kind of like sloshing their own personal gravity like water in a cup, and they're kind of pushing it towards the wall so that they are gravitationally attracted to the wall, and then I think of it as like it's like a muscle you're tensing. You can't tense it for more than a few seconds before it has to end again. And so with her having to end her turn on the wall, I'm just saying like basically you're trying to push yourself to keep your gravity forced that way for a little bit longer. So she fails her constitution check, but I don't say like, oh, I'm going to ruin everything, every part of your plans. I say this is going to work, but at the cost of once the readied action triggers, you then fall and you don't have your reaction to do your monk slow fall and you'll take the full 50 foot of falling damage. And she's like, yes, worth it. So she's on this wall. She's like, fuck it, worth it. Then it's Lagan's turn and he runs as far as he can towards the base of the wall. And then he gets there and he turns around and takes the ready action as well to give Lagan a boost. Now, something I haven't mentioned about Lagan is that he maxed out his strength modifier at 20 as early as he could, and then when he became a bard, when he multiclassed into bard, he used his expertise to put into athletics. So he has a plus 13 athletics check. Athletics modifier. I think it's a plus 13. Pretty sure it's plus 13, yeah. Then it's finally Dag's go. Dag uses his movement to get to Lagan. Lagan triggers his readied action to launch Dag into the air. I did say, because Dag is the scout subclass of Warforged and not the other ones, it specifically says that the scouts are the lightest of all of my Warforged. They are made mostly of light woods rather than stone or metal. They're mainly wooden creatures. And so I'm like, I'll allow it. I'll allow you to try and launch him 50 foot up this wall towards Grid. Obviously, launching a piece of wood 50 foot in the air is fucking ridiculous. But if anybody can do it, it's Lagan. He's got an incredible strength. So he rolls an athletics check, and he gets and he rolls again with lucky because he's got the lucky feat. So he makes sure to roll as high as he can. He gets a 27, and I had set the DC of him getting all the way up to Grid at 26. So he makes a 26 DC, launches Dag all the way up to Grid's character, who's balancing on the wall. She then uses her readied action to push him even further, as well as handing him a wand of fireballs. She hands him a wand of fireballs and pushes him up the wall. Dag makes an acrobatics check to sort of parkour the last 20 feet up the wall to get as high as he can and see if he can crest over the top of the wall to finally be able to see the retreating dragon, who has just threatened to be a big recurring villain for them. And if they hadn't dealt with the dragon would have come back as an adult dragon, not a young dragon, because I did mention that he was right on the verge of adult and young. So Dag makes his acrobatics check. I set the DC at 20. I think he gets a 23. And he just makes it 20 feet up the wall. He grabs on with one hand. He points out with his other hand. He'd been describing his guiding bolt as being like a... because he's a Warforged, he'd been describing his guiding bolt as being like an Iron Man blaster cannon arm, essentially. He says, can I put the wand of fireballs in my arm and then expend every charge in the wand? Just as I'm about to say, oh, you do realize that means that the wand will it will have a chance of exploding once it's used. It'll be disintegrated. And he goes, instead of it, like if I roll and it is disintegrated, can my arm disintegrate instead and keep the wand intact? And I was like, fuck yeah, you can, but I will permanently reduce your HP. And he's like, oh, do it. Let's go. Let's fucking go. So he scrabbles to the top of this thing. He grabs on with one hand. He pushes his arm out. I did do the maths on it. I did the geometry of the trigonometry of basically the thing ran a little distance and then it took off and flew at an angle at another distance. So I was like, directly as the crow flies from you to the thing, it's a range of it's 170 feet away from where you are now, grappling on the top of this canyon. And he's like, fuck! Fireball has 150 foot range. To which I reminded him, it's got a 150 foot range and a 20 foot radius. So you fire the fireball the entire range of 150 feet and then it explodes and the explosion hits the back end of the dragon. Just. So he uses 7 charges of a wand of fireballs, which means that you are casting a 9th level fireball, which is 14d6. So he casts 14d6 fireball at this retreating dragon who had like 20 hit points left. It does 50 damage to both the dragon and the dragon rider, the guy who had just vowed revenge on them, and it explodes the dragon and the rider. He goes dying, so much for a recurring villain. Then I have Dag roll a dexterity saving throw to see if he can scrabble his way onto the he's got one hand and he's trying to grab a hold of the edge of the cliff, and he fails, so he falls the full 70 feet. Tals, meanwhile, obviously falls the 50 feet, so she slams into the ground and gets like 30 foot damage, 30 something damage. He slams into the ground next to her. I roll a d9 to see in a grid of 3x3 with Tals in the middle which square does he land on, because he's a huge chunk of wood that is falling 70 foot out of the sky, and if he rolls a 5 and goes right in the middle, bam, he lands on her and she takes all of that damage as well, and like will straight up kill her probably. I roll and I got a 1, so bam, he lands in this square instead of this square, and he doesn't cave Grid's head in from falling out of the sky. But the combo teamwork of taking out a fleeing white dragon and a rider from 170 feet away with a wand of magic missiles, and then I rolled the wand of magic missiles and it doesn't disintegrate either. So, whew! That's why I was late. That's why I was like, now I need to go and have some dinner. And then through me repeating and telling that story, it is now 20 past midnight, and I am up at... is it tomorrow that I'm doing my... Yeah, I'm up in like 5 hours time to get my housing portal for Gen Con. So, yeah. I'll be up at 6 a.m. That's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be tired tomorrow. Very, very tired. I'm gonna leave it there. Hopefully that was a fun bedtime story for you all. That's the sort of stuff I get up to with my home games. It's a lot of fun. I should do a series of just like recounting stories from my home game, I think. Because there's so many stories like that. Did Grid survive the fall? She did, yeah. She was left on 8 hit points. She was left on 8 hit points. Oh yeah, the giveaway on Twitch. Thank you for the reminder. Roll it. We got Joe Baby. Joe Baby, thank you very much for entering the giveaway. I will send you that thing in due time. I'm not going to do it now because I'm just... Oh no, actually I think I can do it now. It's one less thing to do later. Yeah, it's easy enough. It's right here. I've got it right here. Joe Baby. Joe Baby. Congrats. 7 a.m. is the earliest time that should exist. I agree. To be able to listen to the entire charisma check while not falling behind on my tasks, I made a schedule based on yours and it went very well. I did my laundry, working out, swept floor, etc. Awesome. Nice on you. Did Dag survive the fall? Dag did survive the fall. He hadn't taken much damage in the fight, thankfully. So he was left on like 60 hit points or something. That's definitely a Robert Raves candidate right there. Epic stories with friends. Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty, that is my thing. Okay, I gotta leave it there. Thank you very much for spotting me on Patreon, all of you. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy the Patreon perks, the monthly charisma checks, and the access to first look at my YouTube videos, and my access to the first chance of buying the tickets to my private sanctums, and my bloopers, and all of my documents that I've used, and soon Patreon merchandise as well. So I hope you enjoy all that stuff. Thank you for spotting me, and I'll see you tomorrow morning in some many hours time for a BTS. 8 o'clock in the morning my time, which is 7.5 hours from now. No one to raid, because that's not how this works. So I'll just say goodbye instead. Bye!